You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations, I am Spaceboy.
And I'm Surlana.
And this is Spaceboy Universe. It is July 22nd, 2017. And tonight we're doing Topic Roulette, and we'll explain a little bit later. And we might take your calls. Well, no, we'll take your calls. As always, follow us on Twitter. That's at Spaceboy Universe. And then there's the host, that's at Surlana. There's me, that's at Spaceboy. And of course, follow the network. That's at the SBU network. Remember to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Space Cadets. Speaking of Space Cadets, want to hang out with those Space Cadets? Go to spaceboyuniverse.com and click on the player where the dancing chat bubble is, and that'll get you in with all the cool kids. In addition to Twitter, you can find us on the universe, Facebook, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and so many more places. Speaking of YouTube, you can find more than the SBU archive of shows. There's video content from Spaceboy Music, SBU interviews, and 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more. So go there and subscribe. Can't catch the show live? No problemo. Take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and I guess other places, because we love to broadcast. And with that magical note, how are you, Surlana?
I'm okay.
Okay, good.
What are you doing?
I guess we've kind of hit a road bump today, but I'll explain pretty quickly here. Our guest today, we were going to do a pre-interview thing and then kind of play it live tonight and then interact with our space cadets out there in the chat room. But I guess there was a miscommunication when you're talking about dealing with a 7-hour difference, and so Dr. Samir missed the window to call in, and so we had to get on to doing other things because our time is very limited on the weekends. But I believe we're going to reschedule it hopefully tomorrow to get in touch with him, and then I guess we'll play that episode in the near future. So,
but we're not going to give up. We do want to talk to him because based on the research we did, it's really fascinating and worth listening to, and kind of important too. So
yes, and we are definitely ready. We got our game faces on to talk to him, and so many questions, and we've gone over the information with him on him, and
it's good stuff.
It is really good stuff. I mean,
important too.
Dealing with history and archaeology and
suppression of knowledge.
Exactly, which it's not uncommon, and we'll get into that. But through the years, where scientists have suppressed knowledge just because of
it flies in the face of conventional accepted wisdom and theories.
Yes, and our tenure for that matter. You have scientists that have been in positions for such a long time, and then when knowledge comes up that questions what they've been teaching,
breathing.
Yeah, and it really, I don't know. I guess we'll get more into it when we have that discussion with him, and we're still trying to get our mystery guest still. I guess we'll know more, hopefully, in the next few days, whether or not...
It's about delicate balance of trying not to be a pest, but also trying to be determined.
Mm-hmm. And right now, Muffin is digging a hole to China.
Sorry, about Muffin. I put a cardboard box under the desk next to me in hopes that would keep her quiet, but she likes to just try to dig in it for some reason. And he just told me we're going to Home Depot tomorrow to buy a new door to keep her out. So no more cat interruptions in the future.
So we'll take care of that soon. And because we used to have a door that separates our hallway that leads into the rest of the house, and the screws got stripped off the door.
It was warped or something.
Yeah, so I need to go to Home Depot, another project, add a door there. That should make that all nice and neat and cool and get that taken care of. So tonight is Topic Roulette, and as many of y'all know who have been long-time listeners to the program, when we do Topic Roulette, we basically go through the 6 subject matters that we cover here on the universe, and that's history, French science, gaming, music, pop culture, and technology. And why are you laughing?
Because you're doing the same thing I do.
Well, it's there. I might as well read off of it. I mean, it's no difference than reading the script at the beginning of the show. What Surlana is alluding to is that if you've seen when we've gone to Comic Palooza or Mini Maker Fair, we have a little banner that we've taken with us. Now that banner is on the wall, and basically it describes, our six topics. I usually forget 1, maybe 2 at the most, and I just, but it is what it is. So, and with that in mind, also the call line is open, and so if you wanted to talk about any of those 6 topics, related to the show, you most definitely can do that, and we don't want to stray too far from our main topics tonight. We encourage Space Cadets to call in and contribute to those topics. Now, what are you laughing at now? I'm not reading the script now.
K.
Oh, okay.
28.
What is he posting? I see.
He's requesting something.
Uh-oh.
The squirrel story.
Oh, the squirrel story.
We were going to save that in case we didn't have enough topics to cover the time, but I think we will.
I think we can get into it right now. I mean,
that's more of a banter thing.
Yeah, so we could start that off. First off, I don't know if you saw the post on our Twitter wall, the Universe Twitter wall, and you go to the article. The poor woman she looks like she's been mule kicked. And her eyes are crossed, and the teeth don't even look real. But anyway, basically, 45-year-old Janice Smith was arrested this morning by officers of the Detroit Police Department for allegedly capturing enormous amounts of squirrels and training them to attack her former lover. So she's been, and what's funny about this is that, I guess, I don't know, funny or whatever, I mean, other than the picture, she used to train lions for a circus. So I guess it's easier for her to train animals to do what she wants, but I guess she couldn't train her ex-boyfriend? Hello? I mean,
what? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to you.
This is a partnership. It's Explore the Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Well, I was exploring it in another another window. So
is it Kay that's distracting you, or?
No, I will tell you later. Okay,
all right, well, fair enough. So anyway, I said while you were off exploring the universe. That she used to train lions, and why couldn't she train her boyfriend?
Oh, the squirrel lady training the...
Yeah.
Safe to say she's nuts. I mean.
Well, yeah. I was, how else is she able to train those squirrels?
Oh, K28, our loyal fan and listener, says the squirrel story is fake.
It's fake?
It's a fake.
It's a fake.
Sorry if you can hear my ice rattling.
Okay, first off, when something's fake or you see it on Snoops or whatever, Snopes? Yeah, Snopes. Then you need to share where you found it. It's a fake. But remember I was saying that photo.
Well, it was one of these weird news type of website. Sorry. Cat distracted me. She left. The cat's gone, so.
So basically, as a space cadet, you must provide conclusive evidence that it's a fake.
Yeah, you have to show us where it's debunked.
Do your due diligence.
We're not calling you into question. I just please.
No, we want to
give
know.
us
please.
evidence.
We don't want to
like
look.
it.
We don't like to look stupid. So if something is a fake, we want the whole universe to know. We keep everyone straight. So it's a partnership. We do our part, you do your part, and together we're a super team. Anyway, Surlana, are you still with me over there?
What do you want?
Are you taking some kind of hallucinogens or sleep time stuff already?
What do you need? Tell
I
me.
don't know. I said a story. Where do we go from there?
Well, see, I don't have banter. I just have show content.
It does not matter. Just go to the subject and,
Yesterday was our cat's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday.
I didn't even know.
Happy birthday, Muffin.
I have no idea how old she is either. I don't want to know because I don't want to think about how much of her life is left.
Well, you were telling me the other day that some cats live to be 20.
Yeah.
And so I think she's probably around 10.
Real quick, I'm not going to get into it for respect and privacy, but our thoughts and prayers go out to Beverly and Bob for a situation that they're dealing with right now. So we're so sorry to hear that, and just let you know we're thinking about you.
Yes, most definitely. You have our support and our love and our prayers. All right, so Comic-Con out in San Diego is going on.
The Comic-Con.
Yeah, the Comic-Con. I posted a few things on the wall, the Twitterverse, and there's.
I should look at that.
I've been looking at some of the pictures from. There's
See it up there?
Yeah, none on there. I'm having to use my actual Twitter wall on my computer to look at some of these. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that I was going through some of the outfits that people were wearing, and I wasn't quite impressed. There's not that many good outfits that are out there.
Times are tough for, finances and.
But the San Diego Comic-Con is supposed to be the comic, place to go to for all this, and I was just, I was not impressed. Even, I know this is going to be sad because I love Adam Savage, right? Mm-hmm. And every year he does some kind of costume, and this year he was Sir Lancelot. And so
usually I check that out, because I'm fascinated by his, his little ploy he does every year to try to fool people to not know it's him. But I haven't followed up on that because of time.
I don't know if it's just getting more difficult to come up with ideas or whatever, but so he was Sir Lancelot, and there was the Fat Power Ranger from episode 32 that was there. Some other ones, but there was some Stacy Quinn, Spider-Man cosplay there. People are still rocking the Harley Quinn stuff.
Mm-hmm, that'll never die.
There was a few from Stranger Things that were kind of interesting. A lot of Mario and Luigi stuff out there. There was one picture of a family, and you know what they say about families. When you cosplay together, the family stays together. So that was cute. What is she doing?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's like she's got into the liquor cabinet or something, and she dropped her
That
phone.
was a noise from another part of our house that we didn't do.
Anyway, so let's get back on track.
So I suppose, K28, you're going to tell me the story about the man who breaks into a Burger King and drinks gallons of deep frying oil is fake, too.
It's a fake.
It's a Florida man. I guess he was driven to insanity by this diet his wife put him on. He broke into a closed Burger King and drank 25 gallons of it.
Did you see the picture of the guy?
No, we can't make
snap judgments?
Yeah.
Okay, this one I can make a snap judgment on, but I mean, his neck looks like...
It doesn't have one.
It looks about the diameter of a sewer
hey now.
thing. I mean, He is in cartoon proportions.
I don't see how you could drink 25 gallons of used deep fryer oil and live.
That's the point I made earlier before the show was like, how can you drink all that? And I tell you what, he's going to be making a run for the border after.
He was arrested on criminal trespass and burglary. Burglary. Burglary is when you steal hamburgers.
That's funny. I think there's already a guy that's incarcerated at McDonald's for that.
The hamburgerly.
Yeah, hamburger.
Criminal trespass, theft by unlawful taking, and criminal mischief. There's a picture of the Burger King. This is what he said. Quote, I'm sorry. Can't stop giggling. My wife's put me on a tofu and raw vegetable diet, and I couldn't take it anymore. I waited till she was asleep and went to the restaurant to get a couple of burgers, but it was closed. I was starving and depressed, and I totally lost it. But I really think the punishment's a lot more harsher than it needs to be. He faces a total of 35 years in jail, but he's offered to pay all the damages, and Burger King could agree to a settlement and drop the charges, so it's up to them. But if they keep the charges, he'll... Oh, this is kind of old. This may have already happened, so I'll see if I can follow up with this.
Well, I think that if the man was, he admits what he did and he's willing to make restitution on the situation, and obviously you could see that he was kind of depressed about the situation. So one can only imagine that they would feel kind of some sympathy, like, oh, I know how it is, man. But hey, here's a $10 coupon for burgers.
Punishment of 12 months of Jenny Craig, says Dan James in chat. Yeah, drinky.
Yeah, I had to take a
Oh,
look.
by the way, it's open lines tonight. You can call in at any time you wish.
Yes.
And we're up. We got the call center up and running.
And if you've got an interesting subject or a topic or whatever, yes, this would be a night to do that. So we encourage that. So, I'm going to just put this out there. Patrick Spohr has been communicating with me, and the man is like me. He loves movies, and he was talking about several movies, like from the 70s. I think the movie he was talking about was the Operation Condor. Does that ring a bell to you?
Operation Condor?
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that it does.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. I know that I'll have to look it up. I wish I had pulled up his emails before the show. But anyway, it's got me to thinking that I'm going to have to probably do a show where the Netflix idea I had.
Don't.
Okay, then maybe I shouldn't. Then I shouldn't talk about it. Just know that I'm working on an idea for a show dealing with movies. And so, because I love movies, and
I too had an idea for another Sweet Tea and Sarcasm. The only issue that is that my co-host has an insane schedule, and things are about to change, so I've got to wait for stuff to calm down for her. If it goes on too much longer, I think I'll just have to incorporate it into this show with you. And you're enough of a open-minded guy to be able to discuss it.
Oh, is it going to be about the have we talked about the Doctor Who thing?
No, but I know it's weighing on your mind deeply. Don't breathe on the thing.
Well, the thing is that, where do I begin? One, okay, you've known me long enough to know that I'm not a sexist.
No, I wouldn't have married you.
And
it had anything to do with you.
And I think I promote women's ideas of, being in charge and taking...
Or doing whatever we want.
Doing whatever you want and all that good stuff. And so it was announced, I guess, last Sunday that the new Doctor is a female, and I have to say that I'm a little frustrated over the fact that I felt like a male role model was taken away from me.
Well, see, I saw that link that said that, but I'm gonna have to ask you, geez, was that the only male role model you have? Are there no others in the entire universe?
That's not the point. The point is, okay, where do we stop? Do we stop there? Do we turn James Bond into Jamie Bond, or do we take all the male roles that are out there?
I don't see anything wrong with a female.
The point
operative.
is that why not? I mean, they may. I don't know. I get the impression sometimes that society feels like, okay, there's not enough strong female roles out there, and that's BS, because you can go back to Sigourney Weaver and Aliens, starting back then. There's been other roles, and I'm a little brain fried right now, just trying to reach into my.
Well, you weren't prepped for this.
Yes, I know. I went
off
off into a tangent, and this is what happens when I do my tangents. You've got Angelina Jolie that played on Tomb Raider. I mean, and then you've got the new Wonder Woman movie, which hopefully we're going to go see tomorrow. And so, I mean, there are roles out there that, should we replace Wonder Woman? Should we replace the character from Tomb Raider? I mean, it doesn't make sense for me. I mean, because that character was supposed to be a woman. Now, people are going to say, well, Spaceboy, the regeneration thing, there were some people that regenerated into female form on Doctor Who. I think, and I'm going to have to do some research, because I think this all started with an episode where the Doctor, I guess it wasn't a doctor, it was the Master, had died. And somebody took his ring off his hand, and it was a female. And supposedly the consciousness of the Master went from a male to a female. So it wasn't technically a regeneration. And that's when it kind of started from there. But I'm open to hear what your thoughts are on the Doctor Who controversy. And I've said this already out there, that I'm going to watch the regeneration. I'm going to see what happens, with what goes down. And, if it all comes down to, if I don't like it, I don't have to watch it. Mm-hmm. And if there's people that want to watch it, great. They've got a new audience, whatever. But I'm just saying that I'm just, frustrated over this fact that there's this need to, like, for example, the Ghostbusters. Now, when we went to see the Ghostbusters, I liked it. It wasn't too bad. Let's face it, the guys had a chance to bring the Ghostbusters back again.
The only problem with that was the writing, the script. Those women are powerhouses of comedy. They can do it. They just didn't. It just could have been some stronger plot and development there.
Well, I learned today that they're going to make a Ghostbusters II. I don't know if it's going to be using the same cast or whatever, but there's a number 2 coming out. I'm hoping that it does improve in the writing and everything. But getting back, I didn't have a problem with that, because they were great actors or actresses, however you want to lay it down. And I enjoyed the movie. The second half. I mean, the beginning was kind of slow, but wouldn't you agree that second half of that movie was decent?
What? Which movie?
We're talking about Ghostbusters. I'm worried about you tonight.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if the second half it was good for the same. I think the same reason, because bless his heart, he kind of stole the show. Guy who plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth,
right?
Or Hemsworth, I don't know his name. But he's just so friggin' talented. I want to punch him in the face.
He's funny too. He can be
He's funny. He can sing. He can dance. They can do accents.
Which, ironically, in that movie, he replaces a woman. Mm-hmm. The receptionist.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that role reversal of the dumb blonde sex symbol. Mm-hmm. It's he's just there for. They literally hired him for eye candy.
Mm-hmm. I found it funny. I didn't have a problem with that. And, you know, like I said, the original cast had a chance to bring Ghostbusters back for another movie. And I think the holdout in that was Bill Murray. He just, you know, it was this or it was that. And
well, I just saw something in passing. I didn't click on it, but the Ghostbusters 2 you're talking about,
yeah,
they might be doing, there's some sort of talk about CGI Harold Ramis.
Really? Oh, you mean making him a ghost-like thing? Maybe?
Or what did they do like they did for...
Oh, you mean like in Tron and like in Benjamin
Star Wars.
Buttons and Star Wars and Star Wars, the most recent one, what was it? The Star Wars story, Rogue One? I liked it. It was good.
I liked Rogue One. I didn't expect...
Tarkin.
I don't really care about Star Wars
Carrie
anymore.
Fisher.
I hate to tell you that, but yeah,
You
that
liked-
was
you
a
liked
good
that one,
standalone
though.
movie by itself.
You did like that one.
I did like it. It was kind of bittersweet, but it's like they had a job, they got it done, and there were sacrifices to be made. So
First off, I want to thank Bob for posting the Hamburglar on the Twitter wall because we've got the monitor that I get to watch the Twitters come in, and it's filled with the Hamburglar up there.
I'll take a photo.
Yeah, take a photo. But you did like Rogue One. I thought it was good. I'd like to see it again. In fact, with the new Star Wars movie coming up, I need to review The Awakening and get back to watching a few of that. We purchased a new TV and it's ultra high definition, and so I've been kind of going
but the
back.
Roku isn't.
Yeah, no, but it still has some things that look decent, and it almost feels like we're watching it with our 4K camera that we film with. Mm-hmm. And so some pictures, depending on when it's in motion, that it really kind of stands out. That it kind of looks like it's filmed with our 4K video camera versus, high-end cameras that are out there for filming. So.
Yes.
But anyway, let me just wrap the other part off that I started. And one, like I said, I just don't feel like they need to cram down the fact that, hey, a woman should play this part. Why not create new role models for women and make something new instead of recycling the old stuff and just, go with the flow on the other stuff, and be done with it. And with that magical note, while Surlana is trying to say, what did you say?
What?
Exactly. Why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we what?
Huh?
What?
I can't believe it's already.
Yeah, we've
30
already
minutes past the hour.
The show flies, especially when I'm doing the jibber jabber. So you know me. You're listening to the SBU Network. I'm Spaceboy Surlana, and we'll be right back. right, we're back. You know, that was one of my older songs, Nucleus. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I always plug in Spaceboy music whenever I can. It's been a long time since I did a Spaceboy music show on Fridays.
Maybe we'll surprise you one day.
One day.
Pop up.
I've been kind of like, trying to write some new stuff and, mix it up a little bit. And at some point, I'll get some new music out there and upload it to Spaceboy Music. But until then, you can go to spaceboymusic.com and check out a lot of the music that I play here. And if you are so inclined, you can always support Spaceboy Music by buying some music. It's very affordable. In fact, the latest album, Spaceboy's Unique Technique, is out there for only $10 for 17 tracks. You can't beat that with a stick. And it makes a great gift for Grandma, as we always say. So go on over there to spaceboymusic.com and get you some music. So with that said, Surlana, we're back. Mm-hmm. During the break, I was kind of mentioning there's trailers out there, tons of trailers of stuff that's coming our way, courtesy of, I guess, San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, there we go. And one thing that strikes me, because since we're talking about controversy going from Doctor Who, now we're going to talk a little bit about Star Trek Discovery. And there's been a lot of contention out there with the Star Trek fans because of this particular show. I think mostly because it's going to be a show that's strictly internet and behind a paywall.
Mm-hmm. Which I automatically don't care.
Well, the thing is that I think I pay for enough paywalls that
I don't want to do anymore.
I don't want to do another one, and I don't think there's and the content from CBS that I already get, I get through either Netflix or I get it through Amazon. I watch Naval CSI, which I watch that usually on Netflix, and there goes the eye roll. I was watching Madam Secretary, which I have enjoyed that. I heard they renewed it for another season, which I'm ecstatic. I thought they were going to cancel it. But the thing is that I love Star Trek, don't get me wrong. And I was really looking forward to something other than going to the past. We kind of did the past with Enterprise. And
it's enough.
It was all right. They decided to cancel the show. I was bummed. I was ready to move on. And then they decided to do this Discovery thing based, once again, in the past, before Kirk and all them. And
how many more things can they jam into the past? I mean,
I guess if you hit it hard enough, you can jam just about anything.
I want to know what happened after DS9 Voyager.
Right. There's
a ton of stuff there.
Why don't you quickly dive into that and talk about the subject of after Deep Space Nine?
Well, the books go on.
Yeah.
The books are always better anyway. But when Voyager got back, we got some ideas from Future Janeway, because the last episode, Future Janeway came back to help them fight the Borg. And she says, Voyager is a museum, So, and I think that some of her crew get back on another starship to go explore. And I think Tuvok joins Captain Riker's crew.
The Titan.
And what was Janeway's second in command? Chakotay gets his own command ship.
Right.
He gets the captain.
And what's his name? Paris is his first officer.
Yeah, and B'Elanna and the kid, I guess, are with him. So they go on to do things, and I don't know what Seven of Nine was doing. She gets involved with some other Borg plot, I think. But
back on Earth. Meanwhile, back on Earth.
DS9, I read those books, What Happens After DS9, where, Cisco ends up coming back to DS9 because his wife is giving birth, and Jake went on a search for him because he thought some prophecy said that he was supposed to go search for his dad, but he ends up in the Delta Quadrant having his own adventures, which is a really good book. So there's material they could lift, and even Titan, Star Trek Titan, which is Riker's ship, but there's the problem with that is the species are so diverse. They would the budget for the CGI would just probably blow it out the water. So maybe that's why they don't do those, is because there's just too much, although that didn't seem to bother Valerian.
Well, that's a movie, and there was a difference. And
TVs don't have that kind of budget, I guess.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because speaking of the newest trailer for Star Trek Discovery, it looks very movie-esque. I mean, it looks great. I mean, I'll admit, it does look really cool, and kind of I'm intrigued by it. And were you going to sneeze there? Okay.
No, I started to yawn.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
So it looks very watchable. Once again,
it looks watchable, but
the thing is that it's hard for me. You know what this goes back to, Surlana, and this can lead into our next thing, is that you remember what killed sci-fi for me, the Sci-Fi Channel?
Cancellations.
What cancellation in particular?
Stargate stuff.
Yeah, Stargate Universe. And no relation. So that particular show, when they canceled it and left it in the big time cliffhanger, and it was a combination, because also during that time we had the Sarah Connor Chronicles going on about Sarah Connor, and that show got canceled by Fox, and then not too long after that, then you get the Star Trek. There's so many stars in here. Star.
What come out?
Stargate? Yeah, Stargate. Thank you. SG Universe. So when that got canceled, I became very, I guess, standoffish when it comes to some shows, and that, I guess, is its power. It's going through the show Star Trek Universe right now, or Star Trek. I tell you, I can't get myself together tonight.
What are we talking about? Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah, Discovery. But what I'm getting at is, I was trying to segue into Stargate Universe to Stargate in general, is that they're bringing back Stargate. And it takes place
Well, you want me to talk about it? Because I have a little thing about it.
Because I know you're...
Stargate Origins is going to be the new thing, and it's going to be an online prequel series, I guess. So I don't know if that means it's going to only be behind a paywall, or if it's a Netflix thing, or where it's going to end up. But it's going to be a spinoff of Stargate SG-1. Now, the franchise of Stargate, can you believe this, is 25 years old. And I really enjoyed SG-1, but I didn't enjoy anything else. And the original movie, which has nothing to do with the series, but I enjoyed both of those, but that's it. Mm-hmm. The trailer I saw for Stargate Origins is only a few seconds long. Maybe there's others, but this is the only one I saw today.
Did you find that it cut, like, pieces from the...
Yeah, that's what I said. It's footage that's already out there. They just spliced it together because I don't think they have anything yet. Mm-hmm. The trailer's a few seconds long. You've got the iconic SG music. And the clip is set in 1928. So the premise is, what if there's more to the backstory than you know? So it's going to be set in the past, I believe.
Right.
When they discovered the gate.
Exactly.
And they unearthed it.
So that'll be, once again, we're going to the past to tell a story. But I'm kind of open to see what happens in this, because it's not like CBS/Paramount has really just jabbed a harpoon into my heart because of some fan-made film.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're bitter because of how CBS Paramount treated the fan films. They just utterly killed them with their copyright nonsense, and anyway, don't get started on that. There'll be an all Star Trek show if we don't stop.
Well, the thing is that unlike Surlana, I enjoyed SG Atlantis was one of my favorites. I enjoyed, I was into Stargate Universe,
which was vastly different than the other two.
It was less comedy where you would find in SG-1, because even though it had its serious moments in SG-1, it still had time to be light in a way. Whereas Stargate Universe was more like the remade Battlestar Galactica that they had on Sci-Fi, kind of gritty and dark, and but I enjoyed all of them, and so one can only imagine. And even though they canceled the show recently, I don't have the comic in front of me, but they put out a comic book that takes place right at the end of the cliffhanger. And so I feel like I got some closure on that, and so I'm a little happy on that end. So, speaking of other trailers, what other trailers? Yeah, that you've seen out there?
Let's go. You're not going in order, so I have to look here. All right, now I watched a trailer here on this computer, but I don't have sound. I'm not able to hear sound on this computer because of how we got this set up, which is fine. So I didn't hear any sound. I just watched it. And it was the trailer for a movie called Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah.
And the trailer debuted at Comic-Con. And I watched it and I thought, what the heck is going on here? It looked like a dystopia future where all our pop culture past gets mashed up together in virtual reality. I saw the DeLorean from Back to the Future. I saw the Iron Giant robot from the movie Iron Giant.
I thought that was cool.
I think I saw some other stuff, but we're going to have to definitely check that out.
Yeah, the book is out there. It's a science fiction novel that was written by Ernest Cline, which is set in a dystopian 2044. And I guess there's the population of the Earth must be overwhelming, and so the only place to explore is, I guess, kind of like a Matrix-like thing. And in there, it's like online gaming kind of thing. And I just know that
it looked like a mashup of Blade Runner meets Tron, meets an 80s Nintendo game, I think I saw Tron light cycles in there too.
It looked like Tron light cycles when they were doing this race. But that is definitely highly on my list, and I think I have the book. I got it in a Loot Crate box once, and I think I also have the audio book from Audio, whatever the audio thing I do for Amazon.
Audible?
Yeah, Audible. And that is highly on my list to go see. It looks awesome.
Yeah, the book has a lot of critical acclaim, so I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what the premise of the book was, and now I just saw the trailer of no sound. I'm already intrigued.
And the sad thing is the fact that you did not listen to the sound. There's music underneath.
Yeah, I'll go back on my phone and listen to it.
And the music that's being played is World of Your Imagination.
From Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, Willy Wonka
dudes.
and the Chocolate Factory. Which supposedly, remember when we were talking about this, led to the infamous Gene Hackman, Gene Wilder thing? But apparently his voice is going to be in this movie. So
yeah, Gene Wilder's voice.
Gene Wilder.
Not Gene Hackman.
Yeah, not Gene Hackman.
Just so you know.
What other trailers did you pop up over there?
Hang on, I gotta get that screen back up. Okay. I didn't watch. Well, I'll save that for a minute because it's not a trailer. I didn't watch it, but I knew that there's going to be a new Ducktales animated series.
Oh yes.
Oh, I think we talked about that before, though.
We have, and Ducktales, and also they're bringing back Darkwing Duck. But I got to see a clip from the upcoming show, and it's funny to listen to Scrooge McDuck because you definitely hear, speaking of Doctor Who, David Tennant is voicing the
Scrooge McDuck because he's Scottish. He's actually Scottish.
He is actually
Scrooge
Scottish.
McDuck is Scottish.
And so you definitely hear David Tennant's voice, but I think I'm just looking forward to it because the characters are less ducky sounding as they were in the original DuckTales.
Yeah, that kind of the Donald Duck.
Yes. So I think it's a nice. I mean, this reboot, if you will, shouldn't concern too many people that were hardcore fans of the original Darkwing, or not Darkwing.
Well, Darkwing is supposed to make an appearance in DuckTales.
Yes. So, and plus, what I like about this is, instead of Donald Duck being a background character coming in every once in a while, he's supposed to be through, a main thing because the pilot. Do you remember the pilot's name?
Launchpad?
Yeah, Launchpad. Launchpad was, I guess, brought on to be like the joke of the show kind of thing. But, you know, in original cartoons, Donald Duck was like the spoil of the jokes. And so I'm glad to see that they're going to bring Donald Duck into this and go from there. Right you are. Robert was just bringing up Bob about Torchwood is going to spin off of Doctor Who again. So that'll be interesting to see. And plus, the Doctor's daughter is getting her own series, which is funny because the character that plays that part is married to David Tennant. And,
in real life.
And that girl or young woman or young lady or whatever you want to call her, she is actually the daughter of the, I guess it's the fifth Doctor.
The 1980s Doctor.
Yes, the 1980s Doctor.
Who I remember him from All Creatures Great and Small.
Yeah, so weird universe out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to DuckTales.
Yeah, so let's see. Here's something I'm looking forward to.
Oh, okay.
Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling. They're bringing back Rocko's Modern Life. I don't know if it's a full series or just a one-off thing, but I did see the full trailer with the sound. It's on my phone, and they still played the old theme music, which is sung by the B-52s.
Yes, that was cool.
But Rocko and the gang have been somewhere else. I don't know if they've been in space. So they get back, and they're in Rocko's house, and they're frolicking in the front yard. And then Rocko realizes it's not the 1990s anymore, which is when the show aired originally on Nickelodeon. So they all get caught up and plagued by all the 21st century gadgetry and commercialism. And it's a fun trailer. I really liked it.
Yeah, I got
Hef
it too.
and I can't remember the turtle's name off the top of my head, but Heifer was my favorite. They're all caught up in the latest phone, and Rocco's like, there's no buttons on this phone. What do I do? And they're all going crazy over it. It's like, he goes, I got a pizza and a taco. I got a taco and a taco. And
yeah, like food trucks.
Yeah, food trucks.
Yeah,
and,
it was funny because there was a lot of stuff that, you know, it was relevant to now and them
so
experiencing
they're
it.
tackling the things that we're dealing with now, but they still have their, you know, they were dropped right into it from the 1990s. So there's supposedly all the same voice actors are coming back, and I don't believe there's any substitutions. Mrs. Big Head was in the trailer, and but they got away with a bunch of stuff in the original show that they retroactively had to go back and censor or take out because it really wasn't for kids. I think it was, for the most part, it was for kids, but then they put something in and you're like, what?
Well, you know, that was kind of like Animaniacs, speaking of which, is supposedly going to be making a comeback as well. You got a lot of these 90s cartoons.
You know why? Because Spielberg loves it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of his production company that made Animaniacs.
So, but yeah, I'm excited about that. And then I know you're not a fan of Hey Arnold. That is making a comeback. So
it could just stay where it left.
So different shows coming back from cartoons of the 90s, which is kind of cool. I'm looking forward to seeing those. So
okay, so that's trailers that are out. I mean, there's a lot more that are out that debuted at Comic-Con.
Okay, hold on.
But I just didn't care about them.
Speaking of those that she didn't care about, is The Walking Dead. Premiered its trailer for the upcoming 8th season, and it looks great. I like the ending of the trailer because it has Rick, and it's jumping forward in time after this big war against Negan, and so it's going to look awesome. You know,
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I know it's just follow your nails like you normally do, but
you won't let me have a nail fall in here.
Get ready for some excitement on AMC's Walking Dead. So yeah, I think it's great. The trailer's out there, and you should definitely check a gander at it. I'm trying to think of. Then you also have talk about the Punisher. Marvel's The Punisher looks to be the most violent Marvel Studios creation to date. And so that looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. They're all coming together. Daredevil, Monica Jones, Jessica Jones. I don't know why I keep saying Monica Jones. Jessica Jones, the Iron Fist. They're all grouping together to become this group, and I can't believe I just forgot the name of the group, the Defenders. And Sigourney Weaver's going to be in this as the bad person, and because I don't want to say bad guy, what would she be? Bad person,
villainess,
the villainess. See, this is what I'm talking about.
The protagonist.
Yes. So that is some. Marvel. Is just rocking it hard. And speaking of rocking it hard, Netflix is rocking it hard because next month there is a crap load of stuff that's coming to Netflix that is unimaginable. I know that you got a chance to recently see a trailer that you want to speak of exactly about Will Smith.
Oh, I didn't see the trailer. I don't know if there is a trailer.
There is a trailer.
Well, I don't think I saw it or clicked on it, but there's a series coming out on Netflix sometime this year. Okay, it's December. And it's going to have Will Smith in it, and it's set in some alternate universe where there's like magical fairy-like creatures, fantasyland creatures.
Orcs.
And I read about this on my favorite snarky website, avclub.com, because I love to go there, read the article, then half the enjoyment of that site is reading the comments people make down below the articles, because their forums, comment forums, are not like other web pages forum. They're very, the trolling there is on a higher level, and it's very, very enjoyable. So I went there and I looked at this article for the series is called Bright, 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 with Will Smith. And one of the first comments I saw, it's this generation's Alien Nation. Now, I loved Alien Nation. It was a movie, and then Sci-Fi made it into a TV series, and it had to do with a giant ship of aliens that crash landed in California, and it was a thing where they had slaves on board, and they had overseers, but, they're all the same race. So they crash land, and all that gets... they become citizens of, America, and they're all free. And they have to integrate into society, and the premise of alienation is it's a human cop and an alien cop are detectives, and they have to work together, and the alien cop has all these prejudices, and, and then, his name is all...
Let me just give you a brief synopsis of what this is.
I just did.
It's set in a world where mystical creatures live side by side with humans. A human cop is forced to work with an orc to find a weapon everyone is prepared to kill for.
It's like, so that's why they're saying, it's this generation's Alien Nation. And in an even Alien Nation, that wasn't the first time that had happened. You've got, interracial human cop, buddy cop things previously existed before Alien Nation. So it's just like they're just taking plots and recycling them to make them slightly different. So, but I wish I had just copy pasted some of the comments because they were really, really good. I probably won't watch it because I'm tired of that plot.
You probably won't. I'll watch it, but it's got Naomi Rapace or something. Rapace is in it from Alien. Prometheus?
Yeah. I'm more interested in the Stranger Things Season 2 trailer.
Which, did you want to discuss that?
Yeah, we got just enough time.
Do we?
Yeah. Saw it. It's good. Poor little Will is having some kind of vivid flashbacks. It's probably some kind of PTSD trauma related to what he went through.
Well, I got the impression that he's kind of straddling both, the upside world and the upside down world.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Plus, he's got some leftovers in him, from that world. The aliens or monsters, organisms, shall we say, in him. I'm sorry, I must type. I would do the same thing, Dan James. Sorry. He's saying that Netflix Australia has 7,000 less titles to view than the U.S., so there's a lot of U.S. VPN accounts being used in Australia.
Oh,
and
really?
I don't blame them. I would do the same thing, but so Stranger Things somebody says it looks like a kind of a bizarre, disturbing homage to the 80s.
Well, right off the bat, I was going to mention that while I'm watching it, one thing that stands out the most is Will is looking at a door, I guess, in his house, and it's open, and it's so reminiscent of Close Encounters.
I'm sure it's on purpose.
And yeah, this whole the show is done purposely to pay tribute to those shows back then. And
now, when it gets released, is it going to be like the entire season gets released at once, like they normally do, so you don't have to wait? Okay, good. So you can binge watch.
And another cool thing was the trailer delivers with the song Thriller.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Or hear that, rather.
You missed so much. It was so...
Well, I was trying to watch it quickly here, before, I guess I shouldn't reveal how fast the show gets thrown together and how late it gets thrown together.
Also, the kids are, I guess it takes place close to... I think it's going to be released in October.
That's when it's going to be, yeah.
And they're in the Ghostbusters, I guess... Costumes, exactly.
Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
Now, real quick before we go to break, here's the important thing, the important bit of news. The Rick and Morty creator finally gets his McDonald's Szechuan sauce. And if you don't know what we're talking about, I feel sorry for you. So, the creator is Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty, and he also voices the two main characters. And he's finally getting his hands on some of the McDonald's Szechuan sauce. Now, this was a big supposed major plot point of the very last scene of the very end of premiere of season 3, where Rick says his entire existence is about finding more of that McDonald's McNugget sauce. Nothing else matters. But he says if it takes 9 years or 9 seasons of the show, he's going to get his hands on that McNugget sauce. Well, that's the character in the animated series. Well, McDonald's has supplied him with some of the Szechuan sauce. Let me see. They're promised to deliver Roiland an entire jug of their legendary discontinued McNugget sauce so that he and the show's co-creator Dan Harmon can sample the sauce together. And it was only offered as a brief promotion in the 1998 Disney film Mulan. And he's been since then been jonesing for more.
Jonesing.
Yeah, so I just thought that was funny.
Very much indeed. So, who are you again?
Who, me?
Yeah, what's your name?
Surlana?
Hey. And
Not my real name.
And I'm Spaceboy, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU Network.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU Network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
like that song.
Yeah, I do too.
Unique technique. So you had some thoughts?
Just one more comment left in the. That was the. If you couldn't tell, that was our pop culture segment. Another movie I'm really interested in seeing, and I think it's already out now. It's Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Mm-hmm. And I can't get this to pop up. Hold on. There we go. Oh, it opened a different window. Peter Jackson. Do you know the director Peter Jackson? He did the Lord of the Ding Dongs movie.
Goodness.
He praised Valerian as one of the best films in years. He was saying that the imagery, the colorful, ambitious science fiction. Let me see what he said. Luc Besson put this out. He's a Frenchman, but he says that Peter Jackson says that Valerian is the most magically enchanting movie I've seen in many years. It's unforgettable, big screen experience. So that's going to be cool to see.
Visually, it does look very stunning. So, that'll be a movie high on our list to see. I know you definitely want to see that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I definitely want to see it, too, because it looks really cool looking. But I guess I'm open to see it.
Yeah. I know we're finally going to get to see Wonder Woman tomorrow. We've already bought the ticket, so can't wait for that.
And we'll talk about that next week.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
We don't know what's going to happen next week.
Okay.
For the show.
Banter?
I think it deserves more than banter.
Okay, we'll I guess roll with it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, where does the Magical Mystery Tour bus take us next?
Well, what do you want?
Well, I think
we've done pop culture. So what's left of the 5 are left?
It doesn't matter. Just
can you just pick?
Yeah, pick, and let's roll with it.
Well, hold on one second. I'm going to discuss something that's under the history topic that you won't like. So, you talked Walking Dead. Now you file your nails.
Did she got a are we talking about the statue?
No.
Okay, we're not.
What the Bank of England got wrong about the Jane Austen 10-pound note. First of all, I wish I could get my hands on an English 10-pound note. I don't know how I would do that, but it'd be nice to have. Anyway, so first there was the controversy of them Disneyfying or airbrushing Austen's portrait for the pound note. And that sparked some outrage. They didn't like this softer look, but they did base it on an actual portrait that was made after Jane Austen passed away, rather than one from her real life. It was a posthumous portrait that gave her kind of a softer look. So it has like an airbrushed feel to it. So, I guess that everybody calmed down about that. They said, her image was sort of Disney-fied and people were shaking their heads. So I guess they just got over that, but now they put a quote to go with the image on the note, and it says, the quote is, "I declare, after all, there is no enjoyment but reading." And the reason people are upset about that is because that phrase is uttered in Pride and Prejudice by a character no one likes, you're not supposed to like. It's Caroline Bingley. And to say that she's the villain is a little bit harsh and overstating, but she's the one you're supposed to, her and Wickham are the two you're not supposed to like. So, because she's got the hots for Darcy. And, she's never going to make it with him, and she refuses to believe that. So it comes from a character that, is not as important as, say, Elizabeth Bennet. And one fan said, this is what happens when people don't actually read Jane Austen works. They just slap a quote on there and call it quits. So the Bank of England, Mark Carney, responded saying, it captures much of her spirit. That is the quote. You can read it straight. There is no enjoyment like reading, and we agree with that. If you know her work, you can enjoy the irony of that. It draws out some of the aspects of her social satire, and it works on many levels. And if you know the story, Caroline's probably just saying that to get into Darcy's good graces. She probably doesn't actually feel that way. She'll say anything that she thinks Darcy likes because she wants to be his wife. But there was no chance of that happening. So, and why this is important? Why bother to get upset about it? So, despite the debate over Austen's image in the quote selection, Jane Austen will be the only woman, apart from Queen Elizabeth II, to be featured on an English banknote. So it is a big deal. So when it sparked outrage because they didn't quite get it right. No one was against Austen being there, but they didn't get the image right. They didn't put the quote people liked. But people are petitioning for more equal representation on our money. And then I just found out that in the year 2020, Harriet Tubman will replace Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. What do I think about that? I don't care because I never actually see money. I never handle dollars, dollar bills, change. I haven't seen actual money in so long. I don't remember what it looks like.
Well,
it's all done with plastic.
It's an interesting thing that you bring up because I had told you before the show that they could put these people on this money, but the reality is there's this really...
It's all meaningless.
There's a big, hard push now, especially from the company Visa, that wants to go cashless. And they are, with their many vendors that they have, they are willing to pay these people a significant bonus if they decide to just go cashless.
I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a caller, and I just saw it.
Okay.
Are you there, caller?
Yeah.
Hey, what you
here.
doing, Bev? You doing all right now?
Oh yeah, we're doing okay.
Good.
Real quickly, Bev, before we get in with you, is that I wanted to point out I posted on the Twitter verse feed that the picture of the 10-pound note that Surlana was talking about. So if you want to check out what the note looks like, go ahead and go there. And I'm quickly looking at it, and I don't have a big problem with it. It looks period piece as far as she's concerned, but I think it's extreme that people are going out there to say that it looks Disney-esque. I think it's nicely done, and that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, these people care.
Anyway, so Bev, it's your nickel. How are you tonight? What's going on?
Oh, not much. I was just thinking about all the remakes they've had of the shows and that you were talking about.
Yeah.
My only problem is like with Battlestar Galactica, what they did with the two main characters.
Where you talking about Starbuck, where they made it a female?
I liked it, but it was just I'm just so used to the original.
Dirk, what was his name? Benedict? I can't think of his first. Dirk Benedict.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dirk Benedict.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
It's weird,
I didn't have a major problem with them changing Starbuck to a female in that incarnation of Battlestar Galactica, which incidentally I've heard that there's been many years that Bryan Singer wants to bring back Battlestar Galactica to the big screen, so there would be another version of it all together. So but yeah, like I said, I didn't have a problem with when they did that to Starbuck, and so that's my feeling on that subject.
Yeah, but see, well, it's almost becoming like Star Trek, a cult. Star Trek, if you think about it, I grew up with the original.
Right.
And then they come, making all the other Star Trek shows and that, which I was always into. And it's like a cult show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Battlestar Galactica could be another one, just like SG-1.
But
You know what I mean?
But didn't they do all that already on Sci-Fi? Like they've had every incarnation of that show possible? I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
It looked boring to me, so I didn't watch it.
Really? You're not much into sci-fi, huh?
I am, but I'm very picky. I don't just watch anything indiscriminately like some
I think that
people
she's
here.
like that across the board when it comes to many things.
Very. I mean, if it's going to take up my time, it better be good, or I'm going to be reading a book or playing a computer game or researching for this
I mean,
show.
when we're watching TV together, most of the time she's playing her poker thing on her
Like you're
phone.
not doing something. I see you over there on your phone, too.
You know what I'm doing when I'm watching TV? I might see an actor or hey, what does that mean? Or where can I find information on that? I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing research with my phone.
Yeah, sure.
And you're zoning out playing poker on your phone.
I'm not playing poker, but, I mean, what does it matter what I'm doing?
See, you know, a man pays
does it matter?
a man pays attention to his wife, and then he gets grief for when he actually pays attention to her.
Says the man who bought a mirror today to put over his monitor so he can see the TV behind him.
Well, my desk is look. My desk is faced opposite
While
direction.
he's on the computer.
So I can pay attention to what's going on. What's wrong with that? I mean, when she
So
did,
what's wrong with me being on the phone while we're watching it? What do you care?
I do care about a lot of things.
Well, you need to let it go, man.
See,
Get all Elsa
Bob,
on it and let it
he
go.
said-
See what you did,
What's
Beth?
funny with Bob is, sure.
I heard that.
See, what's funny with Bob is, when he goes in on his computer in the bedroom, he's got a TV in the bed. We got a TV in our bedroom, too, because we watch totally different shows. And he can sit there, and he'll be on his computer and watch TV at the same time. I can't do that. I get too confused. I am
Well,
not
it
a
depends.
multitasker.
If I'm trying to read an article, and I care about it, I will have to mute one thing. But if it's just mindless stuff that I'm doing, like games, I can listen while I'm playing a game and watch. And it's fine. So
I can't do that. I have never been able to be one to do that.
yeah,
I don't know. I guess I have an attention deficit. I don't know.
yeah. See, I watch. I would watch news and surf the internet, and I mean, for me, I guess I'm like the Borg. I'm assimilating multiple things at the same time. So it seems natural for me to do the multiple things, like watch TV and then surf the internet and come across topics for the show, or to actually come across a topic that maybe Surlana might find interesting to talk to me about, and that's how I usually roll. And sometimes
that's even with housework. I have to focus on one thing. To get it done, so I know it gets done before I go on to the next.
well, that's just
My
good.
sister,
That's just
my
good.
baby sister, she can go through the house and do 5 different things at once and get it all done. I'm like, I can't do that.
I'm like
wear
that too.
me
I like
out.
to focus on this one area, get it all dealt with, and move on to something else.
Exactly.
Not that it matters.
And it's like with laundry. When I'm doing laundry, I have to focus on that. Because if I don't, I forget that there's something in the washer or in the dryer. So I have an attention deficit. I know I do. But it's and another thing too, when I don't know, it's just hard for me to explain. I'm trying to think of what to say, and I can't. I hate that. Well, you know what you want to say, but you can't find words to put it into.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Spaceboy.
Bob's like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are, though. You know what is there, but getting it to your lips is different.
Yeah, I have that problem too with typing. I know I don't want to say, but my fingers don't pick up on all the communication from my brain. That drives me crazy.
And I always have to go back and read what I type to make sure it's right.
I do too. Because it's almost always wrong.
And I have to go back through and redo it, edit some of it. But yeah, I grew up watching sci-fi shows with my dad. He was a big sci-fi nut. He watched Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, Star Trek, and I've always been a sci-fi buff, but I've gotten to where I'm starting to get away from it some. But as far as Star Trek, I don't think I ever will.
Well, it's timeless. It's not rooted necessarily with references that say, oh, well, you could tell this was done in the 60s, because, I mean, unless it's a historical thing referencing, but it should always age well, unless the only reason it wouldn't age well is because of the actual quality of the film or the format we're looking at. You know, it's not as crisp and in your face, bright and clear as what we have today.
Right.
That doesn't age well, but the actual story, content, the look of the set pieces, the costumes, that will be ageless. So there's that to appreciate about it. And I can still go back and talk about things from TNG, Voyager, DS9, and be as passionate about it as if it just aired yesterday. So.
And see, that's like with Bob. That's on Saturday nights on 11.2. We don't have cable. We just have Farmer Vision. They have Star Trek, and it comes on at 9 o'clock, and within a few seconds, he knows exactly which one it is. He can tell you. I'm like, okay. And he says he hasn't watched Svengoolie in a while since you guys have been on.
Well, good. We need to make sure that people are listening to the channel.
But I still don't know how he can do that, though. Watch TV and do the internet. I told him, I asked him one night, I said, don't you get confused? He goes, no. I said, well, if it'd be me, I'd be typing what's on TV.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting here talking to you and chat and looking at something on my phone, and now I'm about to pet the cat to try to keep her quiet. Come here.
And I could ask her a question, and she'll say, what?
Yep. Well, that's Bob. You know, he kind of zones me out when he's on the computer.
Oh, I thought it meant when he talks, you get zoned out.
He does, man. He just focuses, and it's like I'd be sitting here talking normally, and he don't hear a word I'm saying. I'm like, Robert.
Yeah, I know.
God.
I like it when my husband zones out because I can get away with more.
Yeah. Cause
oh, I never thought of that.
If he doesn't pay attention, that's the time to go get
out more.
Yeah, that's the time to go get some chocolate, plant your booby traps, whatever you got to do.
And she'll tell you it's very seldom that I zone out.
Yeah, it's
always watching her.
Yeah, that's what I told you. He went and got this mirror under the premise he wants to be able to see the TV in reverse, but that's not the real reason.
First off, it is not a conspiracy theory of yours to think that I'm got a mirror to watch you rock yourself to death over there in your rocking chair.
That's a perk, I suppose.
I have the mirror so that when I'm working on my computer in the living room, I can actually see the TV, what's going on, and maybe watch something with you that you would not normally watch because I'm sitting next to you.
You're just a total weirdo.
Sure.
Anyway.
We'll let you get away with that one, Space Boy.
Okay.
I won't.
Did you hear Bob?
Yeah. Hard not to miss him.
He just yeah.
All right, Bev.
He says hey, by the way.
Hey,
Yeah,
Bob.
he can't be bothered. I know.
So, I
Right.
guess we appreciate you calling as always, Bev.
And I wasn't sure if I, was going to call in, but
Well, maybe you
figured I
needed it.
needed to lighten the mood up.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I'm glad. I hope we helped.
So, well then, I guess I will tell you goodbye.
Well,
Okay.
bye. Hugs and kisses.
And I love you guys.
Yes.
Oh, we love you too.
And we even love Robert.
Oh, okay. He says, Spaceboy says, and we love you too. And he says, and we even love Robert. He's laughing. He says, peace out.
All right, y'all. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right.
Thank you, Bev.
Our usual caller from Ohio, Bev and Bob, and we love them both. They're great people. It's nice to have people like that listen to the SBU.
Indeed. Shout out to my sister who just showed up. It's always great when you show up. Thank you.
And if I didn't say it, hey, Miss Michelle, it's always good to see you too. It's always a pleasure. Because, we like our favorite Canadians north of the border.
Some of them are Canadians and we don't even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Where do you want to get back on track with some history stuff?
Let's see.
Or-
What do you have next?
I got 2 more history items. So do we want to do
well,
one more?
The thing is that it doesn't matter. You can do a little bit now and then after the
Okay.
hour. And then, I do want to give a shout out to, real quick, to UFO Jane.
Well, I was going to do that
okay.
in that segment.
Okay, well...
Go ahead and do that, though.
Well, go ahead and plug away.
Well, no, I was going to do that when we got to the fringe
Well,
stuff.
I tell you what, we're going to plug UFO Jane a little bit later because Surlana doesn't want to get into
Go
that
ahead
right
and
this
do
minute.
it. You do it twice. It's fine. She deserves it.
What do you have history-wise? As you can tell, we're a little cranky right now. I think it might have been the nap we took earlier today.
We didn't have time. Blah, blah, blah. 6 brilliant Tesla inventions that never got built.
Oh,
Yes.
This should be good.
Because we were talking about Tesla in relation to the guest we were supposed to have on tonight, and there is a huge connection. But I don't want to get into that because I don't want to spoil it. That's why when we do interview him and we air that, you need to listen because it's really super fascinating. Anyway,
And she's not talking to me. She's talking to you, Space Cadets.
He already knows.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one. Tesla had an earthquake machine.
Yes, I remember hearing
In
about
1893, he patented a steam-powered mechanical oscillator that would vibrate up and down at high speeds to generate electricity. And he told that reporters one day he was attempting to tune it to the vibration of the building where he had his New York laboratory, and he caused the ground to shake. Now, I want to say they did something similar on Mythbusters.
I think in the end,
I tried to.
They could not reproduce what Tesla had created.
He said during this test, he turned up the power and heard cracking sounds, and all the heavy machinery in the place was flying around. He grabbed a hammer and broke the machine so the building wouldn't fall down around him.
Yeah, because the machine kept going and going, and so he had to destroy the machine.
Yeah, there were police and ambulances out there on the scene, and he told his assistants to butt up, don't tell them anything about what they did. That was funny. Now, this one's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
A thought camera.
Okay.
Tesla thought it was possible, to photograph thoughts. I don't know whether that's cool or creepy or disturbing.
That's not too far off of today's technology because they've been working on machines that can turn thoughts or the electrical impulses into imagery that is kind of interesting. That a few more years of working on it can turn it into something even more clear.
Well, he was doing this in 1893.
I know. That's
what's mind-blowing. He says, Tesla said he became convinced that a definite image formed in thought must, by reflexive action, produce a corresponding image on the retina, which might possibly be read by a suitable apparatus. I just don't know about that. That's true. But he thought, reflecting an image on an artificial retina, taking a photograph and then projecting that image onto a screen could be done. And if done successfully, objects imagined by a person would be clearly reflected on the screen as they are formed. Now, I think we've seen this in a lot of sci-fi movies and TV, but I don't know. It sounds like something that could be weaponized and used to interrogate and otherwise misused and mishandled. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say, because here it is, 10:30.
So we'll take our break and come back, and what do we have when we come back?
I got you on one more history thing, and we've still got fringe science, gaming, music, and technology to talk about.
Not necessarily in that order. So when we come back, more SBU. Sorry, felt like maybe you wanted to listen to some silence. So after dealing with both Surlana and myself bickering all the time, and so, but we're back.
For fun.
Did I mention?
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
So,
And sometimes
what
that
happened there?
exploring it requires silence, and so it just I didn't get back to my chair in time. Had to go to the gents' room and deal with some business.
And I went and found a box of Cheez-Its.
Okay, well,
I didn't know I had it.
I guess both our worlds are complete. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm going to go ahead and skip to the gaming topic, if you don't mind.
Well, I guess I have no choice. So go ahead.
Hey, you know the movie The Thing?
That thing.
The Thing. Not That Thing. That's a Harvey Birdman movie. But the movie The Thing, I guess the 80s version of it. It is now a limited edition board game, and it looks kind of cool. It's Mondo and USAopolis Project Raygun Label have introduced The Thing board game. It's the board game version of John Carpenter's 1982 horror movie classic, and it will be out in October of this year. What are you doing over there?
That wasn't me.
I don't know what that was.
Okay.
And it looks kind of interesting. I'm looking at the screenshots of it, and it got previewed at Comic-Con, this Comic-Con that's happening now, and it's going to be a limited run. They're only going to make 1,982 copies, so if you want one, I guess you better get on board now. Haha, no pun intended.
Dun.
And it's going to have prints and an enamel pin and game pieces that look really weird and twisted.
Somebody can't speak straight.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about.
And I hope. Okay, we're still okay. Thought we froze up there for a
No.
second.
So you can check out some images on their website, and I'll put a link here so y'all can look at it.
Or you can look at the Twitterverse, and there is a link on our wall right now to the game.
But it's pretty cool looking. The artwork's, really different looking, and it's. I was just looking at the packaging. And the pieces are kind of, the distorted.
Well, I'm looking at the game board right now, and it's basically the Outpost 31.
Yeah.
And you have the different rooms. Kind of, I don't want to say it's like Clue, but it has that feeling of the different rooms and the helicopter out and the shed, and it looks interesting.
I just need to pause for a moment because there are people in the chat room don't know what Cheez-Its are, and
really,
that's disturbing to me.
Say that ain't so.
Now, the ones I'm not sponsored, of course, but the ones I'm eating are special.
However, if Cheez-Its wants to sponsor us,
I'll cheese it all day long.
We'll make it happen. We'll cheese it up.
I'll be a Cheez-It hoe for them. But anyway, yeah, these are Cheez-It Grooves, which is sort of their specialty line. I don't know if they're going to keep them forever, but they're really good snacking stuff. So I'm going to post it. You'll have to go to my Twitter wall at Surlana to see
Actually, I've already put
Would you stop that?
Well, I have to do something, because, you're the lady of action tonight. And I've put what Cheez-Its are on our wall, our Twitter wall.
I'm sure they must have a Wikipedia page.
Well, true, but we
Okay,
just
let's say. Now, speaking of board games like this, Hasbro changes course again and adds Rey to Star Wars Monopoly in the U.S. I didn't know she wasn't there, but apparently they're selling a version of the game with her little figurine model of her character, Rey. Now, it's a last-minute switch that comes 1 week after Hasbro said the interest in the game and figurine had been insufficient in markets abroad, which is why they chose not to sell it in the U.S., which, incidentally, is where an 8-year-old girl from Evanston, Illinois, kicked off this whole thing in the first place when they announced a year after they said they would put Rey in, despite, initially fearing it would spoil episode 5, 6, 7. I have to read Roman numerals real quick. Presumably because people could use the Force to surmise the ending, which is silly. It'll be available on July 25th, and it's currently for sale at Hasbro's site. And they said they originally indicated only one set could be purchased per household. So, I mean, why would you get more? I guess you could give them as gifts, but they didn't have her in because they said, market forces said she wasn't needed, which is, I think, a load of crap.
It is a load of crap. I mean, she's like it's almost like she's the chosen one in this set of movies that are being produced.
Yeah, I mean, in the whole movie, pretty much kind of centered around her.
Yeah.
Why would you not have her in everything?
In all promotions.
I don't understand that. It's like they're trying to hide the fact there's a woman in the movie.
Okay, see, this is the one part. Remember how I was complaining earlier about Doctor Who? This is the other side, is that here it is. She is a role model, and I've seen already kids doing role plays of her.
Cosplay and
stuff. Yeah, cosplay. And, they need to be promoting the heck out of it.
Yeah, it's just like, we did something cool, but we don't want you to see it.
Right.
I don't know.
That's the part that gets me frustrated, is that you've got a character like Rey, and that you could be bringing in all the young women into liking sci-fi and Star Wars and all that stuff, and you have moments like this, like, okay, why isn't this a part of Monopoly, or why did they not have an action figure ready for her? I mean, you know what? It gets my goat. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Lord. Many cats have been startled, thanks. So, well, let's get into something you can also sink your teeth into, and you've mentioned this before, but I read a little bit more about it. Atari really is making a new game console, and yes, it's wood paneled.
Yeah,
probably not real wood, but
it is pretty slick looking. It's thin. It's
yeah. It looks sort of retro and modern at the same time.
Yes, that's what I was going to
say. So I like how they put this. I'll just read this quote. Fabled game maker Atari, or more specifically, the reanimated corpse of Atari that's been sustaining itself on licensing deals since filing for bankruptcy in 2013 and being revived by a French businessman, started teasing the return to console business called Atari Box. It's a quote from avclub.com. So I was thinking, what could they possibly have to offer in this world where Nintendo's trying to dominate, and they had dominated, and you've got your Xbox is still there, and PlayStation has got the technology, and you've got VR coming, and so here's a few more details. It's got those rib lines, a raised back, the little strip of fake wood. It kind of harkens back to their iconic Atari 2600, and it's marketing this as being capable of playing all the old classic games cartridges, I guess, presumably with a built-in old-school Atari titles as well as current gaming content. Now, one thing it's going to have that Nintendo doesn't have, I don't know if the other this is, the Atari box is going to have an SD card reader, which suggests you're going to be able to load games that you're on, possibly buy more, and be able to stick them on, this external storage media, which is very nice. Mm-hmm. So, there's no details about what's inside the box, like what it's running or what games, if there are any that come with. I'm sorry, I don't know what our cat is upset about. But the CEO mentioned the console is based on modern PC technology, and it will play modern games in addition to what we call primitive classics. And it'll come down to what exact PC technology they're got under the hood. But chances are you won't be playing like, let's say something like Call of Duty on that. But it'll probably be more along the lines of things you and I play on desktop PC, I'm guessing. So it will be interesting, to say the least.
It will have HDMI, 4 USB ports, and of course, like the SD slot you mentioned. It also comes in 2 different flavors, a red and black version and a wood version. And the wood version, I believe, I just posted on the Twitterverse the one that has the wood-looking panel in the front of it and the, I guess, the ribbed look. And that is very reminiscent of the old...
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to say something.
Okay.
I apologize. And my voice is going bye-bye. Oh,
so I'm very excited by it.
If you get that, babe, and you like it, maybe you'll be interested in getting another invention Atari is going to have.
Okay.
A speaker hat.
Did you say speaker hat?
Speaker hat. Atari has created something new. It's called a speaker hat. It's a baseball cap with the name Atari on it, but it features built-in speakers, and it's also got a microphone that pairs over Bluetooth for phone calls and playing music, and it's rechargeable, but it's not kind of clear how you're going to connect with a port. But it says that the speaker hat wearers can sync up with one another and listen to the same audio stream at the same time. And it's being billed as a gadget of the future. They're going to try to continuously improve on it until you won't even know there's a speaker in your hat. It could blend. This site says it could blend in well among Hot Topic merchandise, but I don't know if there's really a market for this. So
well, I'm looking at the hat.
It just seems a little ludicrous to me.
The hat itself looks like something I would wear.
Yeah.
It's basically your basic ball cap.
It's a good-looking hat.
And it has the word Atari on it.
Stitched on it.
Stitched on it. And if you look underneath the brim, you can see where the speakers are. I was going to say speaker. The speakers are underneath the brim of the hat. And so, Bluetooth technology, it doesn't... it doesn't take up that much space, but it's interesting. I'd be interested to see how it. I'd like to see one in person. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I've posted that on the.
Too bad Atari doesn't listen to our broadcast and just.
Yeah. Because if they wanted to sponsor us, that would be great.
Now, speaking of retro games that you like, I'll be interested to get your take on this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
The video game Galaga is being developed into an animated series.
Okay.
You're going to call bullcrap on that?
It's kind of like I don't see how you can get any mileage off of that.
Well, you're going to have to fill in the blanks.
I mean, it's like... if you think of it like a group of people, spaceships going to do battle with aliens, then it's kind of like, well, why didn't they just make a movie based upon Space Invaders?
Well, there's this article says, believe it or not, they think there's a market for this type of thing. There's a game called Uncharted out there.
Well, there's a difference between Uncharted versus Galaga.
Well, Uncharted has a plot already inherent in the gameplay, and so that film is in development limbo. Of course, Tomb Raider, we saw that, and they're going to reboot it, but Tomb Raider has a purpose and a plot. She raids tombs and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So,
where did the ad wizards come up with that one?
They also did a movie of Assassin's Creed and Warcraft, which you think would be a deterrent for doing this. So, but those are all fairly more recent games, except for Tomb Raider. It's a little bit older. But you're talking about Galaga, which is over 35 years old?
Okay, it's kind of like, let's make a movie on checkers.
Don't put ideas out there. So, they're trying to find an adaptation for it. And I guess maybe, let's say this would be like a series on Netflix or something. They haven't said that. But It recently, as a game, made a debut on the iOS platforms for their 30th year anniversary, and Galaga Wars was developed for Android platforms. So that's going well for them as a game still.
Well, it's kind of like it sounds like they updated the classic version from the 80s into a new one. I think we've seen one where they did Centipede that way too.
But see, Castlevania has successfully transitioned from a game to an animated series on Netflix. But
But there's a storyline.
Yeah,
there,
there's a storyline there inherent in the game. You know, you've got. Excuse me, I hit that.
Once again, it's like, okay, let's make a movie about checkers, and it would go like, there was a world,
Sentient checkers,
a universe, black checkers, red checkers.
Well, they say they're going to call it the Galaga Chronicles, and they're actually excited about it. And the quote from one of their founders: "We're incredibly honored to be able to work on such an amazing legacy property and help launch it into the animated space. Because there's such a deep love for this game from fans around the world, our team is excited to make sure the next chapter in the Galaga saga is equally impressive and inspiring as its humble 8-bit beginnings." So, still, I'm left with, what?
Where did the ad wizards come up with this?
But this concept's not going to go away, turning old games into, animated series. So they're just really confident that there's content there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
There you go. And it is what it is.
That's all I have for gaming. And I will move us to music, which I don't have a lot, because the thing about music is there's a lot of it out there and a lot of it I don't care about. And that's just me personally. So sorry about that.
Because you're getting old.
Well, this happens. You go through these phases when you were a kid and a teenager, you can remember, well, maybe, I don't know everybody, but I can remember, let's say, being in the car with my parents and listening to what they listened to, and it was big band music, swing, or talk radio. And I think talk radio drove my mom insane, but as I've gotten older, I've moved from listening to nothing but music all the time into, well, had we not been doing Spaceboy Universe, I had already started moving toward listening to lectures and talks and things on YouTube equally, if not more, than listening to music. So as you get older, your tastes change, because when you're a kid, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have to pay taxes, and you don't have all these concerns, and you feel the need to get as much info as you can about these topics or other things related. So as your responsibilities pile on, your interests and tastes are going to change and reflect that, and it happens with music too. So the latest top 40 pop things are passing me by because I don't relate to it. I'm not saying they're bad or good. I haven't even listened to them, but unfortunately, we keep losing musicians to various circumstances. Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer of Linkin Park. Now, Linkin Park, I believe, is sort of a 90s band. Mm-hmm. They kind of passed me by, but he had took his own life. They said apparent suicide, so I don't know if it's has been ruled officially.
Well, I heard that they were already set. Linkin Park was.
They were going to go on tour, and they canceled it. And he was close friends with Chris Cornell, who also took his own life this year. They both struggled with substance abuse and depression. He was 41, and he has 6 children, a wife, and an ex-wife. So it's just, sad to hear that. I don't know what caused them to take their life, but it's just rough to hear that about any musician, Mm-hmm. But if you want something more lighthearted, we'll go into something slightly more lighthearted. I found this random list of the most banned wedding songs. And what they mean by that is songs that wedding DJs got together and made a list of songs they refused to play at weddings, which I thought was kind of funny. And there are over 34 of them, so we'll just stick. You want to do top 10?
No, well, okay, that's very generous of you. But yeah.
Top 10 songs that wedding DJs don't want to play. Number 10, Shout by the Isley Brothers.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good one. Happy by Pharrell Williams. I can see why. It's so, overplayed. Mm-hmm. Wobble by VIC. I think that's a more recent song.
It is.
The Hokey Pokey by any artist you can think of. But that's too stupid. No one should be playing that. Number 6, Electric Boogie, Electric Slide by Marcia Griffiths. Griffiths. Number 5, YMCA, The Village People. Most people are too young to even know what to do during the YMCA. Number 4, Cupid Shuffle. Cupid Shuffle by Cupid. I'm not familiar with that. Number 3, just probably because it's overplayed and done, is The Macarena by Los Del Rio. Number 2, The Cha-Cha Slide by DJ Casper. Maybe I know that, but I'm not familiar with that title. And of course, number 1 song, wedding DJs do not want to play. The Chicken Dance, of course.
Well, a lot of those are like classics. I guess they've heard it so much that they're sick of it.
Yes. It's just a matter of overplayed hits. That's what it is, I think. But I only recall going to 3 weddings in my life. And one of them, I know I was there, but I have no memories of it. And that's Leanne's wedding. I don't know why I have no memories of it, but I know I was there. Of course, my sister's own wedding, but I was very young. And my friend Holly's wedding. We were only 21 when she got married.
I went to a lot of weddings when I was...
of course I remember ours, but that doesn't count.
A kid, and I always looked forward to the dancing and the food. And
see, all the weddings I went to didn't have that. Probably because they were, Christian Baptist-based. There's reception, but no dancing. It was all very just talk, eat, leave. So, that kind of thing. But anyway, sorry, I keep hitting the mic. I don't know what I'm trying to look at over here. One more music-based item, and I'm really interested to see what you're going to say about this.
Okay, shoot.
All right. Now, in Dear Lord, What is Kid Rock Doing news, this headline is, oh God, Kid Rock Senate Run has a website. And so I looked at this and went, what? I don't remember if you remember 90s rock, hip-hop sensation overnight, one-hit wonder Kid Rock. Says he's threatening to run for U.S. Senate. Now, I would dismiss it, but we do have Trump as the president. So all bets are off. Kid Rock for Senate.com is a real thing. He confirmed it in a tweet. And he's one step closer to public office. And he like I said, he confirmed it. And he's got a photo of himself posing near a dead deer. So he says he's going to have a major announcement soon for the upcoming political apocalypse. And he started selling clothes inspired by our current president's rise to power. And Trump repaid him a visit. I guess he invited him to the White House. I'm having trouble getting it out. I'm so like, what? That's why I'm sounding awkward. I just can't believe this is a thing. So, what's your impressions?
Well, I'm not surprised. I think in a lot of ways Donald Trump has opened a door to people running for office. I guess Kid Rock is no exception to that rule. There's many rumors and things that are out there that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, might run for the presidency. Well, at least
he has a brain. Well, The Rock doesn't strike me as some mindless, to borrow an old phrase, oily bohunk from the 16 Candles. That doesn't bother me as much as Kid Rock. I'm like, what are your credentials? Can look good shirtless on top of a car. I mean, that's it. Nothing.
I don't have anything. I don't know why. I follow politics, but I generally don't talk about politics when it comes to Spaceboy Universe.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be about politics. It's just kind of just shock over why does he feel he's qualified.
I'm really not surprised. there's so many things I could say to that comment too. That qualifications. Just look at Congress.
Yeah, you do have a point. And on that note, I guess we'll just go to break.
Well, we're back.
Oh, man.
And she's munching down on Cheez-Its.
Yeah, I didn't get enough. Okay.
All right, so where do we...
I just put my headphones back on.
Where do we go on this segment here?
Okay, let's hop into Fringe Science.
Okay.
Didn't have time to play this YouTube clip for this particular headline, but we'll get into it. Congressman asks NASA about an ancient Mars civilization. So, during another boring House of Representatives hearing, it got interesting when a congressman stood up and asked NASA if Mars could have once been home to an ancient civilization. So I don't know if this guy just went out of the blue. Was he in a Congress stupor? And he says, "Hey, what about Mars?" I don't know what the context was, but they said it was sort of an odd exchange during a meeting of the House Committee of Science, Space, and Technology. Okay, so it was relevant. After NASA scientist Ken Farley detailed plans for the space agency to go to Mars for their next rover mission. So I guess they were talking about that. So Representative Dana Rohrabacher of California asked NASA, he said, quote, You've indicated that Mars was totally different thousands of years ago. Is it possible that there was a civilization on Mars thousands of years ago? And, of course, the NASA rep was amused, but he said he was unaware of any evidence for such a thing. And now they say you might be thinking that Rohrbacher was being funny, but he was serious, and he kept pressing the issue. He says, why would you rule that out? So, excuse me, the NASA guy's answer was, I would say that it's extremely unlikely. So he didn't have evidence to give him. While, that may be disappointing, but you can take comfort in the fact that at least one congressman is asking about it. One wants to know and would like some evidence as to why or why not. So I think that's good. No, you still have no impressions, no thoughts, no comments.
Well,
this is your show.
Well, it is my show. Well, it's not. It's our show.
It's yours. It's yours. Don't worry about it.
The thing is that we already know that there was life. We have, in other words, going back to Richard Hoagland, we know that there was some kind of civilization that was on Mars. We've already heard stories of supposedly journey to Mars. Obama has been to Mars, supposedly, according to the Bashago, exactly. So it just doesn't surprise me. I've gotten pretty fickle when it comes to the subject matter of life in outer space, just because of how fractured. I keep referring back to how the community seems a little fractured right now. Mm-hmm. And
we mentioned on quantum hologram matrix. We did an impromptu quantum hologram matrix 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. And we co-hosted, and we got Eric, Awakening Man, in there too, and he got us some last minute call-ins, and it turned out being really good show for being like last minute.
Right.
So go check that out in our archives for the quantum hologram matrix.
I believe that we're going to be back again this coming Wednesday.
We're just filling in for Reverend Polk because he's moving from one state to another. But he'll be back. But we want to kind of keep the seat warm and keep the momentum going for the show. So we'll be doing some guest hosting for the Quantum Hologram Matrix coming up this Wednesday. Just in case you didn't know. Mm-hmm. So if that's all you got to say, let's talk about this. There's going to be a MUFON symposium in Las Vegas. And what it's going to be about is they're going to try to figure out the origin of some UFOs, because they think, or MUFON believes, there is a secret U.S. military space program.
Well, wasn't it recently where they started to, like, Space Corps, the government says sign up for the Space Corps or something like that?
I thought you were joking. I thought that was some kind of propaganda, but you meant it for real? They meant it for real, I mean?
I believe legislation for Space Corps military branch introduced by the lawmakers.
What does that mean, though?
It means that they want to create
Starship Troopers.
Well, you know how the Marines, you've got Marines, and they're
Space Marine.
They're actually not. I don't hate to sound it like below, but they're like a subset of the Navy.
The Navy. Well, that's how they started out in the British Navy. Is they were the guys with the guns.
They want to form a Space Corps, which would be under, I believe, the Air Force. And you just think of Stargate, how they had all that stuff, and
it's starting to sound like Doom.
Lawmakers within the House of Armed Services Committee have introduced legislation that would require the U.S. Air Force to establish a Space Corps as a distinct branch of the military as of January 1st, 2019. So,
what would they do? Are they just like a militarized explorers, or?
Well, no telling. You've got that small little space shuttle they've been sending up there for a long time. I can't remember. I wished I was better prepared. You caught me off guard.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, but it's good. I'm on my toes. But at least I remembered this Space Corps being formed. But I can imagine that. Think of where they send some ship up into space and they have to take out a satellite, or they want to do kind of espionage on a satellite.
But that's like, no, they're not trying to hide that.
Sure.
But so, I don't know if that would be like part of this thing. That this symposium says they're not going to focus on whether UFOs are from other planets, but rather whether some of these UFOs are built here on Earth as part of a secret space program controlled by the U.S. military or some other U.S. government entity. And I tend to believe that. So if you are going to the symposium, or you're presenting, or got anything to do with it, would you please contact us, because we'd love to talk to you about it. There's speculation that we've had a secret space program for years, and so that's, I guess it's come to a head with MUFON. They're going to just actually talk about it. They said of the 7,000 cases that are reported to them every year, once they investigate them and go through each case, 30% of them still remain unanswered. And of these 30%, could some of these be top secret experiments? Excuse me. And they think almost certainly yes.
Well, maybe, I was, adding to the fact of, I guess my train of thought was maybe some of the secret spaceships that are Earth related are actually going to be a part of this Space Corps that, January 1st, 2019, will be coming out. So I guess we'll know more when the Space Corps goes live on that date.
Well, of course, the main guy is going to be Richard Dolan, who cites statements made by Ben Rich. Rich said led Lockheed Skunk Works division, which is, I guess, Skunk Works is probably a lot of possibly black ops, deep black secret. But Skunk Works is the same outfit that put out some of the greatest machines that have come out of Area 51, like the U-2 spy plane and the stealth fighter. And I guess Ben Rich passed away, but before he died, Rich said that the U.S. already has the technology to travel to the stars, but it's unlikely to ever be made public. They said there are people who think there's no way a government could hide something this big, but that's why they're asking that question in the symposium. Now, where this is being held in Vegas, Robert Bigelow is building his own space program. And it's got a menu. It says a menu of spacecrafts and habitats that could be operational within the next 5 years. And it could be part of what will be bases on the moon or Mars. So whether things are secret or not, things are moving forward. And one of the speakers, I think Eric told us about this, because one of the speakers is going to be Gary McKinnon, who we were speculating, how did he get over here without being arrested?
Unless it's a video presentation.
It might be like a Skype thing, yeah.
Because I've seen, I think I've seen someone in a similar situation where they did the Skype thing.
Now, if you don't know Gary McKinnon is just a regular, average citizen, English citizen, who used his mom's computer on an old, probably like 56K modem to hack into NASA and try to see if they had any secrets about aliens and UFOs. And so this government has been trying to prosecute him and get him extradited over here, but I think that England has been protecting him from being extradited. One of the things that McKinnon found was some program code called Solar Warden, which they believe is evidence of a secret space fleet, down to the names of planet officers. The actual rosters of intergalactic ships based in U.S. Navy, and saw names of officers. Now, what I heard is that McKinnon saw non-terrestrial officer names, but I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, hang on. There is a phone call.
Okay.
Are you there, caller?
I am here.
And you are?
Oh, come on. You don't know who this is?
Well, they still have to identify themselves.
Okay, go ahead and identify yourself.
This is Patrick Spohr.
Hello, Mr. Spohr. How are you tonight?
How are you?
Oh, we're wishing that we had a show tonight, but...
Yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen.
Well, you've had a good show. I've been listening from the very beginning. And by the way, since you started out with the email I sent you about 70s movies, the name of that film was 3 Days of the Condor.
That's right. I was getting it mixed up with that Jackie Chan movie.
What?
Yeah. That was three Days of the Condor with Robert Redford.
Right.
And it's a great spy thriller. I've watched it maybe 20 or 30 times. It's so well done.
I should watch it then.
Of course, it was directed by the late Sidney Pollack.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other film that I sent to you was The Parallax View, which starred Warren Beatty in 1974. One of the very first films, one of the first conspiracy theory films, which didn't do well at the box office, but it's a great film. If anybody ever gets a chance to see it, it's all about, in a nutshell, an organization called the Parallax Corporation, which recruits psychopaths to act as assassins.
Oh,
At the same time, they recruit patsies to take the fall. It's very well done.
See, that just reminded me of another movie that was kind of, I don't want to call it a conspiracy movie or anything, but it was interesting. Do you remember the John Travolta movie Blowout?
Yes.
Where I guess he was some kind of film audio engineer, and he would have recordings and stuff. And so on the night of, there was this car crash, he had recorded it, where he saw something in the, I guess, in the news or something like, I remember, can't exactly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but they had the film version of it, and he took the film clip by clip or whatever and matched it up with his audio, and that was actually a halfway decent movie. Once again, it didn't get very... Go ahead.
It was a Brian De Palma film.
Yes.
And it was a remake of a movie called Blowout with David Hemmings from the 60s.
Oh, wow. See, now I did not know that.
Yeah, they're very similar. The original 60s movie is, those were avant-garde art movies, a lot of those 60s movies back then.
Mm-hmm.
The one with John Travolta did not do well in the box office, but I've watched it a couple of times, and John Lithgow plays a scary character in that movie. He
is one of those actors that I just enjoy, whether he's being funny or seriousness. I enjoyed him on Dexter. He was good in that. Mm-hmm. He was in the movie called Raising Cain, where he played the bad guy in that one. And then when The World According to Garp, he was excellent in that. So he's got quite a range.
Oh, he is. He's just one of the great actors of our time. Surlana.
Yes.
I don't know if you read The Dream. I send you the dreams. I know you guys don't always have time to read them all, or maybe read them later on. But interesting that you brought up the Netflix series Bright with Will Smith, because the dream I had last night was with James Caan. It was so real, and it was a friend of mine named Gigi who lives out in California, myself, and James Caan, and we were in this room moving furniture around. And James Caan and I were talking about his career, and one of the movies that came up in the dream was Alien Nation.
Oh, wow.
And then he mentioned, Alien Nation, and then I said, well, I said this, exactly what you were saying, and when I was laughing when you were talking about it, I said, well, I wonder if Solana read the dream, because if she didn't, this is even more interesting. Because in the dream...
Actually, I've read part,
that's even better. That's even better. So in the dream, I said to James Caan, I said, hey, James, what was it like filming Alienation with Mandy Patinkin? And before he answered, I woke up to record the dream, so I didn't hear what he said.
Oh,
but
man.
in that same but in that same dream sequence, we talked about the Netflix. Is it a series or a movie?
Both. They did a movie, and then later on, they made. It's kind of what they did with Stargate.
Made for TV show.
They did a
on
made
Fox.
for TV series, which was with different people altogether. Different people starred in it. It was good on its own, and the movie was good on its own. And I have all of Alienation on DVD. Wasn't much of it.
Well, there was a 1988 film that started all that called
right.
Alienation.
Yes,
James
Caan.
Mandy Patinkin played
as the alien.
Well, but in the dream, I asked James Caan, I said, what do you think about Will Smith doing sort of a remake of Alienation? He said, I didn't hear anything about it. It was so real. It was incredible. You know how you dream.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have these very real dreams. But anyway, you can go back and read it. It was very interesting. And your crew out there. Hey, I want to say hi to all your space cadets that are telling me hi on your chat. I see them all out there. Yeah.
Yes, he sees all, Dennis. Don't worry.
Yeah, Patrick, he watches all.
Oh yeah, I saw Dino say hi. Tell Dino hi and tell him it's a Mercury retrograde. That's why all that crazy stuff is happening. We're moving into a Mercury retrograde phase right now, and for the next 6 weeks. So
I can't tell the difference. It's like the same garbage constantly here. So
well, plus we have the solar eclipse coming up next month during the retrograde phase. It'll be interesting to see what may happen during that connection there. Now, Solana.
Yes, sir.
You brought up Kid Rock.
Reluctantly, because it was funny.
Time to talk, guys, or
oh yeah,
yeah.
It's one of those rare.
Keeps me around to do all the talking.
It's rare moments that we've opened the lines full
it's
throttle.
Open lines, yes.
Okay. I don't want to hold anybody away that might be calling in.
Nobody's calling in.
But I listen to your show and I make notes. I always make notes in case I call in, so I have something to follow up with you guys on for your audience.
Mm-hmm.
I have two really good things for you, Solana.
Okay.
First of all, Kid Rock was not a one-hit wonder.
No, he wasn't, but it felt like it.
Yeah, he's major, and what I wanted. Why it's interesting you brought that up, because I wrote him down the other day, and I said, "Oh, I got a movie idea," because I saw this film in the '60s when I was a kid, and I know you guys will love it. It was a B movie, but it was so popular. It was called Wild in the Streets. Look it up. It's from 1967. There was an up-and-coming actor named Christopher Jones, who starred in it, and he was a rock star that was going to run for president. And it is a crazy movie, but you guys will really like it. And there's a really good song out of it called "Nothing Can Change the Shape of Things to Come." And I know Spaceboy, I'm sure he's heard it.
Yeah, I recall it.
Put that on your list to try to put that on your list to find it. Then the name of the song is "Nothing Can Change the Shape of Things to Come," or "The Shape of Things to Come" is the actual title. And it's by Max Frost and the Troopers. It's from the movie Wild in the Streets. I think it was 67, maybe 68. Starred Christopher Jones and a very young Richard Pryor.
Okay, I'm right.
But it's about a rock star running for president, and it was real popular at that time.
Yeah, 1968.
Now, Surlana.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, you found it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Surlana, for you, when you do your next, you're going to do a show on women in film, right? Film, the history of women in film,
or something like that, or women's roles in film. But I don't know if I'll get to do it with my friend.
Well, you want to include Nora Ephron. Are you
of
familiar
course.
with her?
Oh, yeah. Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay. Yes.
She's passed on.
She passed away in 2012.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But she wrote a book. She wrote a book, and you brought this up tonight. Both of you guys did, and this is very interesting that you did that. It's called Everything is Copy, and then HBO did I think it was HBO that did a documentary about it. And she writes about what you guys are talking about, and what Spaceboy and I have discussed. That she says there are no new ideas out there. She said everything is copy now. She said it's just you take new stars in a different era and you plug those stars into only 8 plots that are possible to put things into. This is why when Christopher Nolan came along and did Memento, and when Quentin Tarantino made Pulp Fiction, they sort of were game changers. The way they actually took movies and did them differently. You probably saw both of those films. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Memento was definitely interesting.
I didn't see it.
Think of was like I don't want to call it filmed in reverse, but certain events happened and you had to follow along. And Guy Pearce was the actor in that one.
Oh, Nora Ephron also did Harry Met Sally.
Yes, she did a lot of great films, and she was a force in Hollywood for women way before it's become such a trend now. But Nora Ephron, Barbara Streisand should be included in that, and the Catherine Bigelow, who won the Oscar for The Hurt Locker. She's got a new film coming out too. But these are women that are a force in Hollywood and have done some great work. So that may be something you want to plug into that. I thought you were talking about that show. Maybe I was wrong. Did I get that wrong?
An idea I wanted to do, after I see a couple of movies I haven't seen yet. But, I haven't developed the actual topics, but I'm going to try to keep it interesting so people would actually listen.
Well, those are main players. And I think if you put that out there, a lot of people may tune in because those are very familiar names. And then you can maybe compare them to some of the new ones that are, sort of up and comers in the film world today. But let's see here. Now we lost 2 big stars this week, guys. Martin Landau, and then we lost John Hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yes. John Hurt, yeah.
And I'm sitting here actually. I'm watching all the Martin Landau. They're showing on MeTV. Are you guys familiar with MeTV?
No, I don't think we've heard of that.
MeTV is all nostalgia television. I usually watch it late Saturday night because they have the old Outer Limits show on.
Oh man, that's nice.
From the '60s, they have all Batman. They have all the old Star Treks, and now they're putting Mission Impossible on with Martin Landau. And actually, the Outer Limits I watched a couple of weeks ago. I had the Martin Landau posts prior to his death, and then I told everybody, I said, well, I just watched Martin Landau on this Outer Limits, and now they're showing the exact same one again tonight as a tribute to him. And John Hurd, I posted him back on May 14th, so it was less than 2 months, and he died. Guys, that was not an expected death. It wasn't like the guy was sick, or Martin Landau, neither one of them. These guys were, these weren't people that were ill, that somebody might think, well, he looked up online that they were ill. Trust me, I don't do stuff like that. That I don't want to ruin anything that I do by, being one of those people that people might think. These were posted in advance, and these guys were not sick. I mean, John Hurd just had a slight back operation and was recuperating in a hotel room, and then they found him dead. They don't know the cause of it.
Well, that's kind of like...
Of course, you already mentioned...
I was going to say, that's kind of like, what was it, Glenn Fry... he had an operation, I guess, internally, and then something botched in that, and so it seems similar to that situation.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, Spaceboy, you guys, whenever you want to have another phone chat, I got some more ideas for you.
Yeah.
We're due for another conversation with you.
Yeah, I always enjoy brainstorming with you guys. I just don't want to wear you out because I know you work all day, and I'm a lazy retired guy now. But trust me, I'm not lazy. I am always doing something.
Probably just do same day, same time. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have that? You still have the tape of my regression, right? You still have a copy of that?
Digital copy.
Somewhere, yeah. In fact, yeah, we have...
whatever you do, don't lose that, because I might be able to get some national something out of that. I'm working on something, and I want you to be involved in it.
We didn't send him, like, a flash drive of it?
No, I don't know if you did or not. It's okay as long as he has it.
Yeah.
Okay, we can get it to you, like it's MP3s,
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know. I'm hesitating reaching out to some of my past sources. I know I've got some people, heavy hitters, watching my blog now that were, there's people that have always watched it that have been a little skeptical, but they're not skeptical anymore. I just don't know what I want to do. That's the thing. I've gotten kind of comfortable. I enjoy the blog, but I know that writing a book is not the way to go. And you guys, we talked about this. The way to go is visual with video, and that's what people want to see. Doing a self-published book, I've talked to a friend of mine. He's self-published, 10 or 12 books, and he says he hasn't made any money on them at all. And he's a sci-fi writer, and he's had them on Amazon for some time. And what's the other one? Is there another one they put the books on? I don't know how many people.
Well, I know that you can do it with Barnes and Noble, and there's some other thing. But the thing is, just publishing a book and getting on Amazon, that's nothing. You have to get your product out there in front of people's eyeballs or ear holes. So you still have to do all your marketing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's definitely an endeavor, and that's why you hear these people on all these shows. They want to get on as many of these shows as they can to promote their book, to get people to buy them. It's a tough business. There are so many out there, but the visual stuff, people love to click on stuff.
Yeah, you should.
And even on my blog, I'm surprised.
A lecture with visuals and excerpts and.
Well, you know what's interesting about Surlana? I'm glad you brought that up. See, I used to do seminars here locally at the Metaphysical Center, and I did a before I discovered the dreams were connected to Lotto. I have a DVD of about a 90-minute DVD of this really, really nice seminar that I did, packed house with people. But I haven't, I have to figure out how to edit this stuff. I don't want stuff to be too long. That's the other thing. There's a short attention span out there for a lot of this stuff, so to put it on. But there was something else, Surlana, you brought up. You always bring up interesting subjects. You really
thank God.
Well, you do. I mean, you do. You guys, that's what makes you a great team.
I only bring up stuff I'm interested in.
Well, which one of you is Johnny Carson and which one of you is Ed McMahon? That's what I've been trying to figure out.
Well, it's...
Well, I don't want to call out Spaceboy on the air about which one does more.
I will tell you here.
Research.
Hold on. She does a lot of research, and she's great at it. She's good at it. And when I was creating the show, I knew I wanted her to be a part of this show, and I knew I could be the ham, I could be the spoil, I could joke and make self-deprecating.
Dino says you're the Johnny.
I am the face man of Spaceboy Universe.
Yes, he's the pretty one.
And so I promote the show, and I'm not afraid to get in front of the camera. And
I don't drink enough to be Ed McMahon.
And so it's kind of hard.
I had a suggestion.
What's that?
I sent an email to Surlana as a joke. I sent it to both of you about you doing the Burt Reynolds thing, doing a centerfold layout with your space helmet covering the...
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
I don't think I want to see that.
I don't want... That's copyright.
And I thought, boy, people will buy that. It'll be crazy. You can autograph it, send it to, when you form your membership club that you're forming, and you can have that moment, what do they call that? The souvenir photo of Spaceboy.
I would actually have to Photoshop my head onto somebody and then kind of
really badly where it's obvious.
Oh no! You don't want to do that. See, the thing that's going to go out, abs and pecs are going out. The dad bod is the next thing. That's the next heroes you're going to see in movies. The next thing on TV is the dad bod.
And Surlana's laughing. I've actually read.
I know
some
what
of
he's
that.
talking about.
I've read that is the trend lately. Is the dad bod is in?
Well, it will
you look at the guy on the beach with dad bod, and you're like, oh, he looks like he's got a stable income.
Yeah. Hey, did I read this right? K28. Does he go? Did he say something about Cornell University? Is that right?
He had
did I read that wrong?
One of his kids graduated from there, I believe. He'll correct me in chat.
There was a professor, Daryl Bim, I think was his name. He might know who that guy is, but he was a professor there that did all these tests on on ESP and all this other stuff. Daryl Dim, I think, is his name. You guys could probably look him up. Hey, he might be a good interview. He had a lot of data and everything they did at Cornell University and all that. But when I saw K28 at one show, I was watching the chat and I heard him say something about Cornell. So maybe he knows maybe they know who he is.
We'll find out soon, I'm sure. He'll say something if he didn't leave for the night. I don't think he's gone.
He's out there.
He's lurking.
Now you mentioned something about the Ghostbusters film, and then you mentioned something about Rogue One. Now, I saw Rogue One the other night, and it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
It was so well done, and I thought it was better than the last Star Wars film.
I think, I have to agree with you on that. I thought it was a little bit better. I think it's a war movie, and then on top of that,
like the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, like the Dirty Dozen, and it's got a little grit to it.
I liked it because it explained a major silly plot hole in the episode 4. Why was it so obvious and easy?
The portholes to destroy the Death Star.
This gave a legit, real, emotional reason for it. So I liked the fact that it did that.
Yeah. I was very impressed with it. It's a tearjerker too. But the Ghostbusters with the females, I was not. I was very disappointed in. I was really thinking it was going to be good because I like all those actresses in there, especially Kate McKinnon. She's hilarious. But and I like her in just about anything. And Melissa, is it McCartney or McCarthy?
McCarthy.
Yeah, she's funny too.
I think they're all funny. The writing was not. It didn't showcase them as
not
as good as Bridesmaids.
I said the beginning of that movie is like it seems to drag.
Yeah,
and it doesn't pick up until practically almost.
I think people were expecting Bridesmaids with ghosts, so they focused on all the wrong things.
I didn't really like Chris Hemsworth in it. I always liked.
He stole the show.
I think they. Yeah, I know, but I just, again, they're placing so many of these buff guys. Now, guys, you know me, I was a bodybuilder.
I
was all into
see anything wrong with buff guys being placed.
Well, but I'm saying there's just so many in all the superhero movies and all the movies anymore. It's got to go to the wayside sooner or later. It's just getting
oversaturated. Yeah.
And actually, what's his name? Oh gosh, I'm usually not at a loss for words. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt should actually sort of go back to his sort of a semi-dad bod. And
I think he'd be up for that because he likes to eat. I don't think he cares. If you look at his Instagram, he doesn't care for the diet he has to be on for being in these movies.
When he was on Parks and Recreation, I mean, he was not really buffed in that show, and so
he's a kind of goofy, adorable looking.
Now, Spaceboy,
yes.
You mentioned about these films, and I agree with you. Why do they need to plug actors, females, African American actors, etc., into roles that were established? Why not just create new stuff for them, just like they're doing with Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde?
Oh, right,
Why does she need to play 007 when she's got this Atomic Blonde and she's great? I mean, she's a convinced, like Sigourney Weaver. Spaceboy, you brought up Sigourney Weaver, and I watched Alien, the director's cut last weekend, and she was really the first real kick-ass
action
female.
hero.
I mean,
she's the mother of female. Yeah, she was. And still, I mean, even in the sequels, she was still convincing. You bought her as a badass. You did that with her. And Charlize Theron, I'm surprised didn't get nominated for an Oscar for The Road Warrior. She's up for doing it again and having the movie be about that character, the Road Warrior.
Right. Instead of why take? We can't take. I don't think people would go to the movies to see a female 007. Maybe today's audiences would. I just, I can't see that happening. But It's the same problem when they put Will Smith in the Wild Wild West. If you remember when that film was made in 1999, it bombed terribly at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, why didn't you just find somebody, another actor to play that? You know, Robert Conrad was real upset about that. I remember that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Wild Wild West TV series.
Yeah, I used to watch it. I mean, the syndicated.
I know of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back when I was a kid, I just had to watch that show all the time. I mean, it was just fantastic. And, you know, it was back in the 60s. 60s TV was all about spy stuff and sci-fi. So it thrived during the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't alive then.
Anyway, I'm going down the list here of things I jotted down that you spoke about, so you know I am a listener, like the rest of your great space cadets out there.
We know, and usually you're like the Phantom of the Opera. You're like in the, you know, watching from the catwalk and behind the curtain, and you are always taking notes. And we have conversations beyond Space Cadets with Patrick, and it's always a conversation that could go on forever because it's just so much back and forth of exchanging knowledge.
Yeah, when I sent you the thing on 3 Days of the Condor and the Parallax, actually the movie I wanted everybody to pay attention to, which I guess threw everybody, was the 1976 Robbie Benson movie, Ode to Billy Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember, now you probably remember the Bobby Gentry song, Ode to Billy Joe, right?
Yeah, it very faint in the back of my head, yes.
Well, it was a popular song in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
The history behind it was it wasn't supposed to be a hit song. It was, you know, back then there were these people called DJs that, you know, worked at radio stations.
Right.
Yeah.
And back then they sent them these little discs called 45 records.
I recall.
And they sent Bobby Gentry's out. It was supposed to be the A side that was supposed to be the hit. Well, all the DJs for some reason flipped it over and played the B side, and it was Ode to Billy Joe, which became a major hit and put her on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Now you flash forward so many years later, and Max Baer Jr., who played Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies, decides he wants to make a film based on the movie because the song was so popular, but it was a mystery. What really happened to Billy Joe? So this film, it explains all that. It's really well done. I was actually surprised. Now, when I was in the military, the base I was on in Louisiana called Fort Polk.
Oh yeah.
This film seemed like it. You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Leesville, Louisiana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This film, I remember going to the movies, and it seemed like this film was played every 3 months there because the previews would come on, and I remember some of my guys would go, "Oh no, here's Ode to Billy Joe again." And for some reason, I never did catch the film back then. Now, you got to remember, on military bases, they don't play films for weeks. They play them 1 or 2 days, and then they rotate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they rotate background and everything else. But I would recommend it to people. It deals with a subject matter that, of course, was controversial back then to be, you know, a film to be made on it and everything else. But, you know, I don't want to spoil the surprise of what actually happened if anybody decides they want to catch it. But everybody remembers who Robbie Benson is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very popular actor in the 70s. Didn't he play the Bubble Boy?
He also was the voice, I think, of Beast in Disney's Beauty of the Beast animated movie.
You're right about that. And he was on an episode of Star Trek, right?
Possibly. Everybody was. Everybody had a...
Yeah, it was with the kids on the planet, and they all had like a smallpox or something. It wasn't smallpox, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
And Kirk caught it, and then Bones came down and inoculated all of them. I think he was in that. I thought he was in that.
I don't recall. I'm not familiar with the original series.
I'm sure you could research that, Surlana, and find out if that's true. And you might recall I told you that during the 80s, I was always working because I had my gym going, I had my entertainment stuff going. I never got to watch 80s television much. And there's a new channel on called the Heroes and Icons channel, which is all 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s retro shows, and I've been watching, what was it called, The Greatest American Hero?
Yes. So
wasn't that a big...
back in the day, it was big. Well, I mean, I remember it as a kid, and I
remember the theme song.
I think there was some point where they were thinking about bringing it back to the silver screen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting. I've watched a few episodes, but it was interesting that it dealt with aliens back then, and then he had a super suit, but the guy didn't know how to use it, and it sort of was a comedy of sorts. William Catt was the star of the show of that show. He played the Greatest American Hero. But I've catch up. I've seen some series of Magnum PI. I didn't get to catch that much in some of these other shows. And I thought, wow, the interesting thing, Spaceboy, and you and I have talked about this before, is prior to calling in, I was watching a 1957 film on Sven Gulli. Do you know who that guy is, Sven Gulli?
Sounds familiar.
He's like that guy you had on. You had a guy on about a year ago who does old films.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Lobo. Well, he's sort of like that guy. That's who he reminds me of. And there was a 1957 film on called Land of the Unknown. And it was by Universal Studios, and it was a dinosaur flick, stuff like that, because as a kid, when I saw those, but it's so funny to watch those now, and to see how everything's evolved into, like, the Jurassic Park and everything. And when you look back at these films, when I was a kid, I was intrigued by them. But now I watch them, it's like comedy, watching how they put these, but back then, with what they had to work with, they did pretty good. They did pretty good on some of those. But those old retro black and white monster flicks are really interesting to watch at times.
Well, when I was a kid, I often talk about, just like you've been doing this with this channel that you've been watching with the classic sci-fi and Mission Impossible and all that good stuff, is that Saturdays they had Creature Feature on.
Yep.
That was in black and white.
My mom and I would watch
and then that would lead into, later they would show like maybe the old Star Trek series. And then the Sunday, I would end up watching black and white shows like Blondie, Ma and Paul Kettle, and then as it went in from the morning to the afternoon, then they had karate, karate flicks, Kung Fu Theater. So, those were
and that evolved into the 90s when cable came around, getting into Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is back now on Netflix. Different people.
Right. Speaking of martial arts, segue into this. Do you guys get the Reels channel or anything like that?
We have Roku. We don't have any channels.
Yeah, we're a la carte.
Okay. Well, there's a show on called Autopsy, and they do autopsies on all these movie stars that passed on. And it's really, really intriguing. And they did one on Bruce Lee last weekend. And it was shocking that he pretty well lived on drugs. I mean, steroids, no wonder he was ripped all the time. And it started causing him behavior problems. And when he passed away, he only weighed 125 pounds. But there was a lot to it. If you ever get a chance to watch it, or your space cadets out there, it's really intriguing. I was a Bruce Lee fan as a kid, but of course, like I said, when you get to know your heroes, you said that, Spaceboy, on the show many times, when you get to know your heroes, you have a little different opinion after you watch, how they were behind the scenes. Obviously, he was a hothead, and he got in fights with people on set all the time and was very difficult to deal with prior to his death, and he was involved in all sorts of illicit affairs and everything like that.
Well, I know that there's
of course, he'll be remembered as...
I was going to say there's a new movie coming out about him and doing, I guess, he goes, I can't remember who he battles, but this guy comes from Asia, and they do a fight-off, and I can't remember the name, but I'll have to remember and I'll let you know. But yeah, something new, and you kind of get that flavor of what you're talking about. How he I hate to call him cocky, but it was like Bruce Lee he knew, this is, I can defeat you or I can take you out or whatever, and so new movie coming out with something. I don't want to call it. I think it might have the word dragon in it, but it's not Enter the Dragon. I know that's one of the original 1970s movies, but it'll come to me a little bit later. But yeah, new Bruce Lee movie coming out.
Yeah, he had a lot of problems as a child too that the Reels Channel goes into that I was unaware of. I mean, he had a sort of like a learning disability, and he was always beat up. He was bullied a lot. He didn't know how to defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff in the making of all that. Well, guys, I know we've taken up a lot of time, and I thank you so much for allowing me to take that time to go over your great show this evening.
Well, we appreciate your input as always, and let's shoot for maybe next Thursday for a one-on-one call and same time, and chat about different things and where we're at, and put some input in there.
Yeah, I want to hear how you're progressing, and yeah, just Solana, just send me an email update if that's a good time.
Yeah.
And you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and good night to all of the great space cadets out there that support your show.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And now we go to
wonderful California.
Are you there?
I didn't give the rest of it out.
But anyway, when there were so many wonderful things to talk about, I was going to go soak in a hot tub. It is a California thing. I haven't done it for years. It seemed like I'm very sore. Been doing a lot of chores. But the sky, right before sundown a couple hours ago, was beautiful. There was a little bit of wind. It was sunny all day. But these clouds, I don't think I've seen clouds like this in years. They were kind of like, they weren't moving hardly at all. And they were over about half the sky, and they looked a little dark on top, like they could have been fog off the ocean, but it wasn't fog, and it wasn't rain, and it was like in the high 70 degrees when the sun went down. But they had like little points going down. I thought perfect UFO hiding, camouflage clouds, but there were so many of them. They were they were really pretty. They didn't look strange. They looked very beautiful, and I was going to go before sundown. Sorry to almost missed your show, and go to this hot tub a few miles away. It's a community hot tub, but I had so much bad news this week, so I don't want to bum you out. I had one high school friend who was heart problems in Paris, France, that had been living there for 20 years, and he finally died suddenly, I guess, but he took charge of his life. So anybody, when you're young, you don't think about it, but he didn't want to have the heart transplant. He went home from the hospital, and he was home for 6 weeks. People visited him, people from the States. He had people cooking for him, and he was actually looking better. And I spoke with him by Skype just about 5 or 6 days ago, and then never search your Facebook late at night. You get bad news,
Well, that's so true, because, because I have a day job. I don't mean to interrupt. When I leave work, I turn my work messages off, because I really do not want to hear or see anything that's going to keep me up at night. And, and that goes sometimes for personal email. I have to put it down, and I can totally understand where you're coming from on that.
No, a wise choice, because I didn't sleep well 2 nights ago when I learned about it, because I learned about it like at 12:30 at night before I went to bed. And I was upset. I knew it was coming, and I said a couple of nice things to his brothers and a couple of his family members, but I did toss and turn all night, so my unconscious was very aware of it. And this guy was my age. And then tonight, I was going to go out to the hot tub, and right before I tuned in your show, another friend who's pretty active, he does a lot of music. You'd like him. He lives in the Midwest, and we went to high school together also, and he had recently retired. He'd been in the Air Force 20 years, but he always brought his guitar everywhere, and a big Beatles fan. He was from England. I met him in high school when his mother married an American and came here, and he had every Beatles thing, and he plays guitar. He looks kind of like Tommy Smothers, the Smothers Brothers, and he had just retired last year from being the music director for his church, his Catholic church in the Midwest there. And I said, "Why'd you retire? You love music?" He goes, "Well, now I can play music on my own and travel around," when his wife sometimes would come with him. So his wife found him apparently 2 days ago. I just learned that, delirious in his basement. And he's always a very rock solid guy, and they're still trying to figure out he's home now resting, but they don't think it was a heart attack, but maybe a mini stroke. And then it makes you wonder about gang stalking and MK Ultra, and he was in the Air Force 20 years. He doesn't go for this stuff, but I'm going to talk to him about it. So this is a random night with random speaking. I can't remember what else I was going to tell you, but anything you want me to comment on that you've talked on tonight, I probably have something to say.
Paul is dead.
No, I keep hearing that it comes up every 10 years. I've heard him on Howard Stern. He does great interviews. It sounds like the same old Paul to me. He's a very positive guy. He's a vegetarian. I mean, he lost his beautiful wife, Linda. She died suddenly. Then he got another wife with one leg that was a bitch, and then he got rid of her, and now he's got a new wife. I mean, the guy, he's super. He had to be the original Paul.
And the reason I bring that up is because recently I put a Facebook page of supposedly Ringo Starr admitting to the fact that John had died in a car accident. Now, this is a popular conspiracy theory that's out there that when you take the Sgt. Pepper's, is it Sgt. Pepper's? I think it is Sgt. Pepper's band. The album cover.
I buried Paul.
Yes, and there's been people
barefoot on the album cover.
Yes, and then on the Abbey Roads album cover. When they're walking across the street. Just different things. And I mean, it's a fascinating conspiracy theory that has been out there for many years now, even going back to when they were reverse playing some of the albums, which the Beatles were notorious, especially like on the White Album where they played stuff in reverse. So I just thought I'd throw you a thing out there because I think
and guess what? Guess who did most of that tape stuff? Paul McCartney. If you read his autobiography, Paul was notorious even back when the Beatles were first forming. He said he liked to screw around with tapes, and guess what? So how could he be dead? It's the same stuff appeared on all the later albums. Playing things backward, looping tapes. I mean, A Day in the Life is half of Paul's tape loops that he collected through the years.
Wasn't it supposed to be a replacement, Paul?
Well, that was there was supposedly some contest where I guess this lookalike and was able to, it looked very much like Paul McCartney, and then of course the accident happened. Of course, according to the conspiracy story, depending on which one you read, and they ended up pulling this guy in to replace him, and supposedly he was a better musician than Paul, and fit pretty well into the the band, but that's how that all went down. Paul,
I won't go for it. To me, I've heard these conspiracies come up every few years about Paul. To me, it's like the flat Earth. I won't discuss it anymore. It's just
what?
It's too much.
The Earth is not flat.
Yes, it's just too much, too ridiculous. I know we have to go down the rabbit hole pretty far on a lot of these programs, and I try to believe some of the stuff, but sometimes you just have to say no, got to prove it to me more than that. And Paul, I can't believe someone more talented than Paul. I mean, they said, Ringo can't drum. He's a great drummer, and Paul, and that's the ironic thing. My second friend, the British bloke who just came home from the hospital, he's an Aquarius, and my friend that died is a Leo, and they're opposite signs. That's why I asked earlier on the chat about astrology. There must be something else going on. I'm trying to figure if there were squares or what. I mean, both these guys are born the same year as me. Both of them were in my high school class. And I've been feeling pretty healthy lately because I'm off the reservation for the summer. I don't go into a job every day.
Yeah.
But I haven't been feeling well the last 2 days. I've had plenty to do. I'm actually looking into a Tesla solar roof, but we don't have time to discuss that. It looks like we're running out of time. It's awesome, but I don't think I'll be able to afford it. But wonderful. They're starting to install them, and they're just wonderful roofs. I think everybody will have them in 15 years if we. It's a technology I think the aliens gave him. I mean, these tiles are. We'll talk about it on another show.
Well, the wonderful thing is, if you've got a few more things to say, we don't have to end the show exactly at midnight.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so we can go a little bit over. Although I try to keep a tight schedule on the spaceship here, every once in a while we'll hit a gravity force that warps time and space, which gives us a little extra time with our space cadets.
Oh, okay. I thought you only got tight after the show. Martini time or something. No, okay. Well, if you want to talk about the tiles, yeah, I just went through it this week. I happen to be screwing around on the internet. I've been very interested since I heard about Tesla's tiles. I admire that he comes up with inventions. Someone said online, he's never made money for his investors, but I think he will. He's going to space. He's doing all kinds of things. And
he's creating ideas.
I just found out.
I was going to say he's creating these wonderful ideas that somebody has to create the ideas.
Well, Tesla himself never wanted profit, so that might be in the same spirit.
No, he didn't.
And I think.
Well, I don't want to paint him. I don't know the finances of the Tesla company, but Elon Musk. I mean, he lost a wife. Sometimes these great men do that. They get so involved, they leave the first wife behind, and now he's with a younger model. But I'm not going to judge him. But he's in space. He's successfully rockets that re-land, reusable rockets. He's supposedly got, he said, a verbal agree from the government to start a tube train between New York and D.C., and some people don't like it, but I think someday we'll find that these are the way to go if they can figure out some things. And then these Tesla, he's coming out supposedly with this Model S, which will be a $30,000 roughly car, so for the masses, so people can have electric cars. I saw an interview with him just recently at the governor's conference for all the governors in the country, and he was matter-of-factly told the interviewer, in 10 years, if you don't have an electric car, he says it's going to be like someone riding a horse or something. He made that strong statement. He goes, he really thinks electric cars will be like 90% of the market in 10 years. So to put these roofs on, you can charge your own car, because they also have a power wall, which is and I looked at it in the showroom. It's actually a rectangular battery. It just bolts it to the wall of your garage. It's not very big. Same battery technology in the Tesla automobiles. And then if you go offline or off-grid, you have your own power, even at nighttime if you have enough solar panels. Well, I looked into all this. I have a small house. I have a perfect solar location, but I have no money. But I'm now trying. They don't have financing yet, because it was going to be like, even for a minimal solar tile roof, which would guarantee 20 years, but they're tough. And
we'd love to do that too, but get the money to get it started.
It's over $30,000, and for my roof it'd be $10,000 if I'm lucky for just a shingle roof, and I do need a new roof, but I just don't have the money. I'm getting ready to retire. But they did say they have the solar panels, because they bought out Solar City, and the guy guaranteed me the panels are all now made in New York and the USA, and they're very tight-looking little panels, and I'm thinking of putting them on, because they will finance panels. If I can get money to put my own roof on, they'll put 8 of these panels, which for my limited needs should meet the daily needs of my house. But it's a pretty good price, but they were talking about charging me something like $80 a month for 10 years to pay them off with no down payment. So bless them. If I can figure a way to do it, I'm going to try, but I need to put a new roof first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've given the green light to...
That's how the technology...
To the Elon Musk's Hyperloop in cities I'll never visit.
That's what I just mentioned.
Yeah, I'll never visit.
Yeah, that's New York to D.C.
To Philly to Baltimore.
They're talking about if he could find a way to get the rights right and make sure that people wouldn't crash in them, I'd be willing to stop the super train they're trying to do in California now. It's running into all kinds of delays. Take that money and put that into a Hyperloop between SF and LA, I think, but I don't know if they'll get that done. And that would be like about an hour trip to LA. You could go to lunch,
That'd be the only way I'd go back to California, if I could do it like that.
You say that. You say
you
that
wouldn't
now.
have to fly.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't fly.
Oh, have you
last time.
seen that? Speaking of, we don't want to get too political, I know, on your show, but of police and authority, security being out of control. Have you seen the latest internet video of the guy's wife at the airport, and the woman's like feeling her up and down, and she's this hot-looking, middle-aged blonde lady. She's got jeans on, they have her shoes off, and she's got jeans and a T-shirt, and not much else on, and they're taking all this time feeling her up and down. I mean, and I made a comment when I saw that video. I said, like, where would she hide any kind of thing big enough to hurt a plane?
No, I didn't see that.
No,
No,
but
I hadn't
it's funny,
seen it
but
either.
it's sad. The husband was getting very upset because, I mean, I know you pull people out randomly, but the way she was dressed, she had tight, skinny jeans on. There was no place to hide anything.
Sorry.
I don't like authority getting out of control.
Yeah, in that sense, I have to agree with you. It's unnecessary for what has to go through. Go through the airport.
That's why we don't go anywhere.
Yeah. So.
Plus, we're afraid of planes. So.
Oh boy, Surlana, you are the Ed McMahon. This is great. You don't know how great.
I would like to think I am above that. I don't drink enough to be Ed McMahon, but we don't like. I'm terrified of planes. Plus, who's got the money to fly anywhere, and where do I need to go that badly? Anyway, so exactly. No, but your counterpoints are right on because the plane used to be 20 years ago was kind of a higher caliber of traveler. Well, now we see almost every week someone gets drunk or goes cuckoo on the plane or has to get dragged off. It's become like Muni in San Francisco, like people sleep, and it's like a homeless guy can take a plane now. It's pretty sad. I agree with you. I'd rather go by train if I could, if they could make it safe, but God forbid, let's not channel any kind of terrorism to our rail system or our Hyperloop system if they get it up. But it seems to me, it's just a nicer way to travel. I think
Indeed.
so too.
So, Dino, we're getting messages from Muffin that
it's
time to
time
wrap
to
it
get
up.
out of this room.
But
okay, well, I shall say good night, and next week, tell us what the topic will be.
Okay.
Well, as soon as we find out.
We'll fill. In fact, we're about to tell everybody that we should be on the QHM Quantum Hologram Matrix
guest hosting Wednesday.
again next Wednesday. Hopefully we can get Eric involved again. It was a great show. If you missed it, check out our archives on the SBU network on Spreaker. And as far as the next show, like I said, we don't. It's kind of up in the air right now.
We're trying to get some scheduling nailed down.
Yeah. But we do have other shows that we're trying to work into the schedule, and as they come up, we will let you know. And
I guess. Oh, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still here. Just.
It's like, but
other than that, Dino, I guess have a great evening and good golf, good tennis, or whatever makes you happy.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll make sure and put on my helmet next time I go outside because I'm in the Spaceboy universe. Good night.
Good night, and make sure to take your protein pills. So, all right, that was Dino, and always a pleasure. So, I know I'm going to go through this pretty quick here, Surlana. We've already kind of discussed what the future is. Anything else you'd like to add to this?
As far as housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
We had somebody for the 29th, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So stay tuned. If not, we have a topic we said we're going to do, so we might stick it on that date. August is sort of up in the air. We know maybe the 19th, but we'll just hang on to that. I contacted a bunch of people to be on. Did not hear back from them, so it's their loss.
We're out there actively trying to pull some guests in, but hey, when we have them, we'll let you know. Check the website, and life will be good. So on that magical note, say good night, Surlana.
Good night.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.